Good afternoon, everyone. Glad to see you. Welcome to the GESARA show. Again, Billy here alongside of Peter, and we're going to get into things here today. We've got an awful lot to get to, lots of stuff happening, and we're just waiting for the numbers to build up and everything else. Everybody get in here. So let's do some exercises, shall we? Okay, nimble up a little bit. All right, everybody get your hands in front of you. Okay, we are keyboard warriors. Okay, so touch your fingers, just do.
No, I have no clue what he's trying to do. He hasn't told me.
So just, we got to get those fingers nimble. If you're going to, like a keyboard, you
Right,
got to have the
okay.
finger. And the old thing was, my mother taught me this one because she was a typist, and she said, exercises, watch me do my exercises. For those
Okay.
of you with the thumbs, okay, on your phones, because most of you are, thumb warriors, out there on your phones and tablets and things like that. Get those thumbs working. Okay, do the thing back and forth, back
Thumbs
and
up,
forth.
yeah?
Thumbs up, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Okay, and remember to never do this. Okay, don't go back like this and stretch your neck. Always go forward to stretch your neck. Okay, and move your head back and forth. Whenever you put your head back and do this, you're actually compressing your spinal column and closing off your chakra. You want to open it up
So you got
by
to lean
by
forward, do you think?
by moving your head forward.
Right.
Okay, and then rotating it back, left and right, very, very slowly, not straining. Okay, just slowly back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Okay, and that actually helps open up that upper level of chakra whenever you do that.
Okay.
All right. So we got about 140 years, still waiting for some people to join in here. So a lot of people are getting tired, and I get that. All right. A lot of people are getting frustrated. I get that. A lot of people are, wondering when all of this is going to finally happen and we can move forward with our lives. I get that. We're all getting a little frustrated, but also at the same time, we have to remember that we are not alone in this. We have each other. We have God. We have Jesus. We have, our connected family that we have here, all of you. Okay. And if you're feeling down, reach out to somebody. Okay. We're all here to help each other. That's what this is all about.
Or just watch one of our shows. We do all we can to cheer you guys up. Uh,
Exactly.
in my experience, just before things have happened, that's when people are the most despondent.
Mm-hmm.
The people sort of think, oh, it's never going to happen. It's case for an example, when Kuwait revalued their currency, everybody at the time, the same morning, were sort of saying, oh, it's probably be a couple of years yet before it revalues, and then it just revalued. So now is not the time for despondency. Now is the time to be awake, keep your eyes on the ball, because we are expecting the revaluation to happen very soon. I'll tell you why. There's been a lot of reports from banks, particularly the Wells Fargo Bank,
Mm-hmm.
saying privately to people, and I've heard several cases of this, not just one or two, where they're saying in June, that's when everybody gets the new currency. Now
Mm-hmm.
remember, we are at least 1 week ahead of the public,
Right.
right?
Right.
The 4B group, we have 7 to 10 days. It could be 10 days ahead of it being opened up to the public. So look at the calendar, guys, and you'll
Right.
see that there are not that many days left in May. And from what I'm hearing, 4B should be happening in May, ahead of the opening up to the world in
Mm-hmm.
June. So now is not the time to be despondent. Today, and well, now is the time to be very awake, keep your eyes on the ball, and make sure you've dotted the i's and crossed the t's on your projects,
Mm-hmm.
and use the time we're waiting to get ready. Make your plans. What are you going to do with the money? What are you going to plan your lives? How are you going to get your spare food? Because it is getting clearer and clearer that we are going to have a massive food shortage. So
Mm-hmm.
make your plans for how you're going to buy and store enough food to get you for a year, because you're going
Mm-hmm.
to need it by the looks of things. I mean, there's so many signs now out there that there's going to be a massive food project things. So as soon as you have the money, that should be top priority before you buy the Lamborghini or the new house. Get some food in.
Lamborghinis. Don't buy a Lamborghini. Gosh, flying death trap is what that is.
Well, maybe yes, or your Porsche or whatever you want to get, or your
Oh
yacht.
Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes Benz? My friends all have Porsches. I must make amends.
That reminds me of a story That reminds me of a story I heard. There was a guy who was working for a for an American company, but in the German branch of it, and he was like the director for that particular section, and he put in a an application to get a Mercedes as a company car, and in and the guys in America said, "Look, okay, you're the director, but do you really have to go for such an expensive car? Um, you know, you can't just tone it down because the Mercedes Benz. I mean, they're really expensive. Really, really need to do that."
Mm-hmm.
And the guy said, "Yeah, okay, I'll tell you what. Why don't I just take one of those cars which the taxi drivers drive around here in Germany?" Okay, and then they reacted in the style, "Well, you don't have to go that low. I mean, you are the director." Yeah, and then the guy sent pictures of typical German taxis. They were Mercedes Benz
Uh-huh.
cars.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah, yep, yep, yep.
And with that story, he got his company car.
Right, exactly. So,
And I thought that was a very interesting
brilliant.
way of perceptions. Because I know in America, Mercedes Benz has, as I understand it, a perception of being a really expensive, overly done car, or
Yes.
whereas here in Germany, they're very common. You see them everywhere.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Oh my goodness, I
And
dropped
so it's
something.
all about perceptions, really. And that was and, and okay. And now I've got another one, which goes the other way around about perceptions. There was an American company who wanted to have two office buildings built, one in the UK and one in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so they asked to have the applications in. They were both told that they should start working it out, and then
Sure.
after about 2 or 3 months, the American company then called both their branch offices, saying, "Well, how are you getting on with the build with the plans for this new building?" And the UK branch reported back, said, "Oh yes, I think about 10 more weeks and we'll be starting the building." Okay, and the German company said, uh, uh, "It's going to be another 10 forms before we can start doing anything,"
Ooh.
which is a kind of a joke on the German bureaucracy,
Right.
that they can't yeah, I think I mistold. I think the UK said another 10 weeks and the building's finished, whereas in
Mm-hmm.
Germany it was another 10 forms and we can start.
Right.
I think I mistold it slightly, but it's typical that Germans are very bureaucratic, and you have lots of forms. It's looked at as a national pastime over here, filling in forms.
Well, yeah, exactly. You have to cross all the T's, dot all the I's, and make sure the Q has that cute little tail.
That's right, and
Mm-hmm.
so that's pretty good. But on the other hand, when Germans do something, they do it thoroughly and properly, and you do get quality products. This is so the thoroughness of the Germans does have its dividends, which has given German products an excellent reputation around the world.
Yeah, yeah, that is very true. That is very true. But the one thing that I want to get at is we're everybody is going through the same thing right now. We're all waiting for something to happen. We keep getting told it's going to happen, but we have to be patient about things.
Well,
So
well,
I
yeah,
have
I would say not instead of being patient, get on with your plans. Im-
Well, yeah.
imagine you've already got the money and you've got to plan what you're going to do with the money, how you're going to spend it, what things you need, what priorities. Start your planning now. That gets you in the right frame of mind for when you go to your redemption meeting.
Well, yeah, exactly. You can do that and communicate with others who are of the same mind as you. All right, and discuss your proposals and see if it makes sense to somebody. Okay,
That's
practice it before you go into the
that's right.
redemption
Yeah,
center.
practice with neighbours and stuff, or relations, or anybody will listen. Just talk it through, or with business partners, people you want to work with.
Yes.
Practice it. Get ready. There's no time to twiddling your thumbs right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be very busy. We might as well start the work now because we're expecting the redemptions to happen. Well, Wells Fargo says in June.
Mm-hmm.
That's even that is not far away.
Nope, not at all. But again, nobody knows the exact timing of this. Anybody who says they do or is lying to you. All right. Or is a complete fool, a complete idiot, and egotistical on the money. That they just want you to like them and get likes and things of that nature. So anybody that is telling you,
Stop
that
putting
I
putting
know
down
everything,
truthers. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, all right. But anyway, I have a poem that I'd like to read.
a poem.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Okay.
This is by Rudyard Kipling. Okay. Posted this a little bit earlier. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowances for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting or being lied about, but don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor walk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same because they are imposters. All right. If you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop and build them up with your worn out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of a pitch and toss and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And which is more, you'll be a man, my son.
Okay, that was rather long, but it was quite interesting.
Okay.
And
And what it comes down to is you have to take all of the experience, the highs and the lows in life, all right, and meld them all together. Okay. You're going to have those highs, you're going to have those lows. But if you can keep an even keel throughout all of it, all right, and never lose touch of the basis of life and what life is all about, then you will succeed.
now
Okay.
I heard that slightly differently.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that you have to have the lows so you can appreciate the highs.
Well, yeah, exactly. You have
Yeah,
to have the
because
lows to appreciate.
if life is all the same, then it gets boring, and you can't recognize when you're feeling good. Uh,
Right.
Whereas if you have bad days, you appreciate the good days all the more,
Mm-hmm.
and gives you something to strive for, and on good days you get further, and on bad days you gain experience.
Yes.
and I always say that you never have problems, you have challenges,
Oh
and
yeah.
challenges are so much better than problems.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because a
You
challenge
can
is like,
always
oh, it's a challenge. Let's get
it's
on
a
with this.
challenge. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
get on with the challenge. All right. So what do we got today, Peter?
Well, we've been quite philosophical to
Oh
start,
yeah, yeah, we have. Yeah, we have. But that's
uh,
okay.
but it's good. I mean, first of all, I keep getting messages saying, "Well, when is the Birmingham video being ready?" Well, I've made great inroads. I'm nearly finished with the edit. There are a few more things to do. I hope to get it released at the weekend. That's my timing at the moment. So those waiting, and I must admit, it's been a lot of work, but it's worth it. It's going to be probably one of our best episodes we've made, and we had some great talks at the meeting, as I'm sure people who were there can testify, and thanks to Carl who did the video recording. That's not what you saw online. He was filming for the recording, not for what you saw online. Online, you had just the people who were live. Just saw the video from that one 360-degree camera in webcam mode, which was causing problems. No, we have high quality video cameras which were filming three high quality video which were filming the event in Birmingham, and it looks pristine and really clean. And we got good quality audio, good quality video, and some great talks as well. And it's going to be a really good show. Now, because I've seen it. I've seen the video. I've been editing it all week, and I think you guys are going to love it when it comes out. And I'm expecting it over the weekend. I'll be able to release that, and it'll be one of our best episodes yet. Also thanks to the people who helped us out at the show. In particular, I'm thinking of Sharon and Derek, who particularly helped a lot in getting that event out there. Sharon gave us some good insight as to what happened at the conference I couldn't go to, and so did some other people there. I say, I'm full of it because I've been watching every second of it while I've been editing. The editing was difficult simply mainly because of the audio, because there was a lot of audio sync issues. But I've got on top of that now. I've worked out how to get it sorted out, and it's just a matter of getting to the end of the edit, where there's probably about 20 more minutes of video to edit left, so it's not much more. And then we'll be able to get it out. So great things. Look forward to that. It's going to be great. So enough of that. Now somebody said a comment to me. Mark Z, when he's reading the news, he puts his hat on. Okay. And can't you do something like that so that when we're sort of going through the video quickly, we can find out where the news is? And then I just thought, well, actually, I'm doing something similar. What I do is I take these headphones off. So if you're looking for the news, watch for me removing the headphones. And then you'll know that I'm about to read the news. So how
Right.
about that? We're doing a Mark Z in reverse.
I have a hat,
Instead of a
but
hat on, it's headphones off.
I have a hat, but I don't like to wear it when I'm on the video.
That's right. And the other thing is, I can't hear
That's
Billy
his thing.
interrupting me so well, so I have more of a chance of getting a word in edgeways.
Right. Okay. So what do we got?
What do we got? Right. Well, I've been following the news in the last few days quite a lot, and it does look like we're getting very close to the redemption. There's been reasons for the delays, good reasons, and there's going to be a big event announced on the 20th, which is tomorrow, from the
Mm-hmm.
Trump team. Now, we don't know what that is going to be. We keep hearing at 4 p.m. Eastern, I believe it is, on the
Mm-hmm.
20th, there's going to be a major announcement. And maybe that's going to be GESARA, and we can only speculate at this point. But we are certainly going to be watching at that time to see what exactly is going to be announced.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I'm hearing, things are hotting up already. Levels 1 to 3, in other words, tiers 1 to 3, have people have been getting paid, getting money. So and the money for tier 4B, that's us, is also apparently available. That means the money is there ready, and it's just a matter of whatever they have to do to release it. We don't know exactly, but
I mean,
it,
once this goes public, and whatnot, people, there's gonna be a mad stampede. So they have to be very, very careful as to not actually get in, have a mass riot or mass stampede or what have you.
yeah,
It'd
but
be
that's
like
the beauty of this.
it'd be like offering free tickets to a concert. All right, and you get to sit anywhere in the stadium. Well, there's going to be a mass stampede to get to the front of the stage first, and you're going to have people get killed in riots and fights and things of that nature, and it'll turn into a disaster. So you have to be careful about this type of thing.
Yeah, but as I say, that's the beauty of this. We have front row seats because we're in the 4B group.
Yep.
That means we will learn at least 7. I think it's going to be 10 days ahead of the public that this change is happening. We are the ones with the VIP passes, if you like.
Right.
So we just have to make sure that when the notifications come out, that we act, and that we don't think, oh well, I'll just leave it for another day. When we get the notifications, get in there quickly, get your appointments, so that we can be in and out, have our money before general public knows what is happening, because that will give us a great advantage in being able to get on and set up whatever we have to do. So. I just say I've been seeing quite a lot of reports from different sources that we are getting close. It should be this month, and this month it's the 19th today. It's not a lot of days left.
Nope, nope.
And if it's 10
It's coming
days and it's
coming
going to
very
be this
quickly.
month, then it's really not a lot of days left. So let's get into the news. Uh, Judy put out a report about the US changing to a republic and gave a date of October 2022. That was a mistake. It was a typo.
That was a typo. Yes.
And we have, and that has been corrected. She put out an apology saying no, sorry, that was May, not October. So if anybody got mixed up with that thing, when I noticed it, in fact, actually I put it out as wrong until someone said to me, "Look, should it really be October or is it May?" And then I looked it up and found, oh God, yes, it's May. So I corrected it on the Telegram group when I posted the messages there. So from what I'm hearing, I mean, maybe Billy knows more than I do. The US is now officially a republic, and it
That
is
is
no longer
correct. We have gone back to being a republic here in the United States. 38 of the 50 states were represented. There were 11 that did not want to participate, and one abstained totally. That was Hawaii, because Hawaii wants to be a sovereign nation again and not be part of the United States, which is fine. Okay. So we did have 38. In order to do this, they needed 34, but we got the 38, and there were 11 members who did not participate. In fact, one of the original members that was part of the 13 colonies that abstained from voting for independence was New York. Not all 13 colonies voted for independence back in 1776. New York abstained. They abstained again. And so did California, so did Illinois, and several other blue states, mostly in New England.
So let me see if I as a European have understood that correctly. As
Mm-hmm.
I think there are like 51 states in the
There's
USA.
50 official states, and then the territories of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands and a few others, including
Guam, I
Guam
think, yeah.
and the Philippines. Okay,
But
they
you're
are
now saying
considered
only 38
territories.
states have signed up to this. So what happens to
There
the
are
other
30.
states?
The other states will have to capitulate or not be part of the union or be part of the republic, and they'll be on their own. So it really has to be ratified by the state and the people of the state at that point. Once it has been ratified by the state, then they can join the republic again. But it all comes down to our individual states and the people of those individual states deciding whether they want to be a part of the republic or not.
Okay, so my question to that would also be, this has apparently now officially happened. Um, do the American people actually know this, apart from the insiders like
Not
us?
really, no. It was not publicized. It was not put on the mainstream media. It was kind of a hush hush, quiet thing. They tried to get the word out, but it was censored. None of the mainstream media wanted to cover it, including Fox.
Mm. So you have a republic and nobody knows about it, apart from a few insiders.
Exactly.
That's a weird state of affairs, isn't it?
It is a weird state of affairs, but it will all come out in the public here in a little while. I don't think we're going to have much longer to wait. But it was a convention of states, and 38 states participated, and that created the restored Republic of the United States.
So okay, we said USA up to now. Will we have to change that to something else?
I don't think USA will ever go away. All right, United States of America. All right, I don't think that will ever go away. It's too ingrained in our hearts. So we'll continue to call it, and maybe just a nom de guerre at that point.
Yeah, but if it's called a Republic of America, or what's
It was
Republic?
always the republic. The republic. It was always a constitutional republic or a
Yeah.
democratic republic, which allowed the people to vote on things instead of just dictate from on high, where we have gotten used to lately. And the lie that has been spread by the mainstream media is that these people who are in Washington and in our state governments and whatnot, they hold power over us. Well, no, it's reversed of that. We are in charge of them. They are our representatives. They are public servants, period. And where we have gotten this misconception is because of the mainstream media and how they like to tell the story.
Wow, what exciting times we're in, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, to see the birth of a new nation. And as in birth, it's not a birth where you get a birth certificate, which is then made into a corporation. It's the corporation which is gone. The U.S. Inc., as
Right.
we know it, I
Mm-hmm.
believe already dead.
Oh, yeah, it's been dead for a long time. It's just that it has not been made public knowledge because there was a lot of things that had to happen behind the scenes in order to make it legal.
I mean, how ridiculous! That would be like the Queen being dead and nobody being told about it. And
Well,
wait,
yeah, exactly. That's kind of weird. You'd think that if the queen was dead, we'd actually know about it, but she's up and walking around the last time I saw.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I had a good look at the mannequins which they were using for her, and they're
Mm-hmm.
quite good. They seem to have got the gestures. I don't know if it's a good mask or however they're doing it, but
Well, they have body doubles. They have people that actually look like her. We've seen that in movies and in CGI, and they can do an awful lot of things with movie tricks now. Make people look like somebody totally different.
yes, but
Um,
she's going out amongst the people. You'd think if they're wearing a
mhm.
mask and you're up close, you might notice that around the throat line you got the end of the mask or something like
Right.
that.
And Larry, you are right. This way, it will not be a military coup. This gives the military political cover, and it'll show how the republic gets reported. You're right, exactly. That's the way it has to be, because if we did it all of a sudden, like, you would have mass riots in the street, and we'd have total anarchy going on. So it has to be done somewhat quietly, but also still in the public eye.
So anyway, exciting times, a new world we're going into. It's a bit like Christopher Columbus when he discovered America. It's like moving into new places. It's fascinating to watch.
Yeah, I always question about, how Columbus discovered America and whatnot. I claim this land in the name of you. Who are you people? What are you doing here? No, this is now England's land. Okay,
No,
because
it was India.
we discovered it. Okay.
He thought it was
And
India, didn't he?
yeah, he thought it was in the new Indies, but the new world and whatnot. But he found all these other people living here, and they're like, "Who the heck are you people?" You know.
I mean, how
All
do they
right, go ahead.
communicate?
Go
Because
ahead
they,
with the
they
rest
won't
of
have
the
had a
news.
common language, would they?
I'm doing something else. Okay,
So,
go ahead.
Peter, can
I
I
wonder
join
how they
you?
talk
Go
to each
ahead.
other.
Go ahead.
Peter, can I join you?
Yeah,
It's
Ron.
Ron.
It's not
Yeah.
like in Star Trek we have a universal translator which will do all the work for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can I extend what you've just been talking about, because it
Yeah,
makes a
sure.
big
Go ahead.
difference
Uh-huh.
to what I heard from the We the People news this morning. Was that the constitutional state of affairs has changed to be under 1776 now, which
Yes.
and also the other thing was that the uh, admiralty law is no longer.
Mm-hmm.
We talk a lot about common law, but it's actually now constitutional common law, because
Mm-hmm.
it aligns with the constitutions of every country. Being now, he did say across the world, 1776 is now the constitution for the world.
Right.
Right.
Just putting that in there. I don't know whether you heard that or not, but it
Yeah,
makes a
I
big
did. I
difference.
did hear
Yeah.
that. It is all based off the Magna Carta, of course. All right, which the Constitution is loosely based on, and the rest of the countries did adopt the same style of constitution, worded differently for each country, but basically the same thing. That is correct.
Right. I'll leave you alone.
Okay. Oh no, you're
No,
very
no worries.
welcome.
No worries, Ron. Thank you.
We always welcome your advice, Ron.
Mm-hmm.
You because you're very well informed in these things, and I mean, I've only been looking at common law for about maybe 2 years, whereas I think you've been at this a lot longer than I have.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, exciting times with the USA. I'm just waiting for it to come over to Europe as well. That we get rid of these EU people and whatever. So okay. So let's move on. I just thought that was such an important item. I mean, America being a constitutional republic, that it's worthy of a bit more time. So. So apparently, well, the gold-backed Chinese yuan has replaced the fiat US dollar as the world's reserve currency. I wonder why they went for yuan and not ruble, but I think yuan is just a bigger currency. More people use it, so that's probably the reason. If they're all one-to-one anyway, it probably won't make a difference. That the Iraqi dinar, they've been told they can revalue at any time. We're still waiting for them to revalue, unless it happened today, and I haven't seen it yet. Um, uh, the funds for Tier 3 holders, that's not us yet. They got the funds were made available for them on the 17th of May, 2 days ago. Now, they generally say between Tier 3 and Tier 4, there's going to be about a week's delay. So I
Mm-hmm.
think we are in that week now, of which we've already had 2 days of that week. So, and Bruce is already telling us that Tier 4B funds are already in place. So it's getting exciting. They're saying that the Reno subgroups will have 100% access to the new ISO 200-22 USN accounts for immediate payout, while the Wells Fargo Group and Abbott Downing private invitations could start, along with Tier 4B notifications and appointments scheduling at 7,000 redemption centres. So 7,000 redemption centres, I think that's around the world. I think we just got to find the nearest to us. And the staff are saying basically that this coming week is going to be a great week for us. Well, we've heard that before. We've heard that several times. So I take those kind of comments a little bit of a pinch of salt. But of course, at some point, it's going to be true. And I'm certainly hoping it will come true because a lot is pointing to it. They're talking about the new U.S. note currency should be available from the end of the week. They didn't say if it's the end of this week or the end of next week. I would tend to say the end of next week. Let us give them a bit of time. But it's supposed to be imminent when you actually see that. It could even be June. In fact, personally, with Wells Fargo people saying that it's going to happen in June, we could be talking about, say, the 1st of June. That would be a date which is possible. Don't quote me on that. It's just a feasible date. The general public, which is their tier 5, so they get the money after us, they would likely start about a week after tier 4B exchanges began. And there they're talking about the first week in June. So everything is pointing to the period between now and June being an important one for us. So we don't know exactly which day, but there is only so many days left in this month.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the questions which came up, I think, in the last online meeting was there was somebody asking if we could sort of delay our applications for the Zim bonds and things like that because it wasn't quite ready. Well, the answer I'm hearing on that, after having looked into it a little bit, and it's also in the report for today, is that we will have 10 days to put in our projects, and that is it. In other words, if we want the good rates for the Zim bonds, we have to present in that period. In other words, we apply for obviously to the appointment they give us, but as soon as they start telling us that we can apply for appointments, we have to apply within 10 days and possibly have the appointment within 10 days if appointments are available for us. So don't delay. If you're not quite ready, work on that now so that you are ready, because you will not be able to delay beyond that 10 days from what I'm hearing, or at least not at the good rates. So I thought that was a very important thing to say. So don't stop sort of pushing, I've got other things to do. Get it done now. That includes me. I've still got 1 or 2 things to do on my plans. They're saying that the redemption must be accomplished within the specific 10-day period which they're granting us. So, GESARA Nazara was actually announced on the 16th of January 2022. Now, I don't remember him announcing it specifically, but I do remember seeing a banner on RSBN saying Nazara GESARA. Is that what they're talking about?
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing that and thinking, yes, there's a banner on the bottom of the screen, which insiders would recognise, and people who don't know what Nazara GESARA is would just ignore.
Mm-hmm.
120 days after that is May the 15th. We just had that. And they're saying that is when it was formally activated. And we have reported on that. On Tuesday, May 17th, a constitutional convention, this is what we were talking about just now, of 38 states was held in Washington, D.C., with US Inc. officially declared dead and the US Republic restored. The US was now functioning under the original 1776 Constitution. Now that makes me ask a question. What happens if you've got a company which is, say, registered in Delaware, or Arizona, or Nevada, or whatever? If I have a company registered in Nevada, are they now also under the 1776 Constitution, even if you're not running the company in the USA?
Well, technically, you're on your own. Okay, that you would still be able to operate if you have a interstate or international business license and being able to trade, with other states and whatnot. There are laws that have been passed to prevent such things. If you remember the movie Smokey and the Bandit, okay,
Didn't see that one.
thing. Okay, the movie Smokey and the Bandit back in the 70s was about bootlegging Coors beer from Texas to Alabama. All right.
Right.
Or Georgia. I'm sorry, Georgia. All right. And then at that point in time, you could not transport Coors beer beyond the Mississippi River. All right. It was illegal to do so. It was considered bootlegging. All right. Because they did not have an interstate commercial license with the Coors Brewing Company. But the entire premise of the movie was going and get the beer in Texarkana and bringing it back to Georgia, which it was totally illegal. Now it's legal because they have an interstate commercial license in order to sell the beer in Georgia, okay, and around the country. But there are several laws that you would have to follow in order to do interstate commerce under the 1871 Admiralty law.
Okay, now the reason I'm asking this particular question is the following. I'm living in Germany, and the entire German government, every aspect of the German government, are U.S. incorporated companies in Delaware. For example, you want to go to like the courts, all the American courts, or all the German courts are registered as companies in Delaware.
Right.
So are they now subject to 1776 laws, or are they still company? I think I was waiting for Ron to come in on this.
Yeah, everybody would go back under common law for sure. Okay, even the
corporations. Yeah, but let's hear from Ron.
All right, go ahead, Ron.
Okay, the way I understood it was that now you're under constitutional law. All the courts and all the corporations under the maritime law are now no longer. And all the courts, all the people in the courts have to be retrained if they want to be under common law. So everything goes under common law from now. This is from the announcement, whenever that may be. There was no date given, but they went through the whole of the GESARA on the video in the middle of this presentation, and it showed there that all goes back to really 1776 and the common law, constitutional common law, I must say now.
Right. So the protections that have been put under for corporations under Admiralty law would no longer exist.
Exactly.
So they would have to follow common law, which is basically do no harm, that type of thing, where Absolutely. The legal loopholes come in for the Admiralty corporation law that they write.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm referring to in just about every German government agency is registered with Dun & Bradshaw in Delaware as American companies. And hardly anybody knows that, but you can just look them up.
It's actually Dun & Bradstreet.
Dun & Bradstreet. Okay, my mistake. Dun & Bradstreet.
Dun & Bradstreet, correct.
And they're registered as American companies, but they're operating in Germany. So with this change, does that make these companies null and void in Germany?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because what the rule was that if you're a corporation and you have employees under a corporation, they are now considered foreign, so they're no longer citizens. Any citizen will be sent back to where they come from.
Right.
Under the corporation. So if you've got employees in a corporation, it's deemed now as a foreign company. Because maritime law is what it's under with the commercial law, and the commercial law it doesn't exist anymore under GESARA and also the Constitution.
Right.
Because they go against the Constitution, basically.
Correct.
Okay, and that's already enforced now since a couple of days. So when they changed so this is fascinating, though.
Well, this is a fascinating thing. I didn't get an actual date when this comes into effect, but it was in the same vein as the nobody knows when 4B will be released, because they're waiting for the green light from the quantum computer to do that result.
Yeah,
And
that's
also the other thing is that the tier 5, which is the public, will be at least a week after.
that's right. Yeah, but I'm not
Yeah.
referring to the funding. I'm talking about the fact that the Republic of the United States has been announced for 17th of May, which is 2 days ago.
Yeah, but what they're saying is you don't put dates on anything. Because if you listen to this morning, it said that Charlie Ward said it would all happen yesterday. Well,
Yeah.
because he gave the date and it didn't. So just this is why it emphasized
the framework has been put into place. Nothing has been signed into law as yet. All right. And so we're waiting for the big events to happen so that we can sign everything into law under common law.
Only you would know, Billy, but because you're in America. But apparently it was all to do with the flags at half-mast.
That is correct.
But they're correct now. So you are under a republic now.
That is correct.
So the corporation of the United States no longer has any power.
Right, exactly. So the flags were at half-mast for a stupid reason. I'm sorry, I'm not going to use the word stupid. For a I don't know how else to put it, but the reason that they gave is that they were putting the flags at half-mast to honor the dead of the COVID pandemic.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Which, okay, all right, that's fine. I'm not going to say anything more about that. But the real reason is because the republic was under duress. All right, and in a state of flux. And whenever they did the Convention of States and the 38 states came together, and they had the Convention of States, ratified everything to go back to common law, and that was done, and then the flags were raised back to full staff, but no longer in duress, no longer in wartime. Mm-hmm. All right. So that's what that was all about.
Can we go on a little bit further to that? Because aren't you still under military law? Because
in Germany,
we're under military. We're definitely under military law. Yes.
But because they won't give it over until after the elections, which have to be run through the new computer system. So
that is correct.
You're going to get temporary people in to monitor this. When does that start?
Well, that's not going to start until we get the release of everything. And I'm thinking it all has to do with the midterms. Now, the RV, I believe, is going to happen way before the midterms. But once we figure out and we get Biden out of office and we have a constitutional crisis, and it's announced to the public that we have a constitutional crisis in the fact that our president of the United States has committed treason and crimes against humanity, and so is the vice president and the Speaker of the House and the Secretary of State, so on, so forth, and so on. That constitutes a constitutional crisis because we have a dysfunctional government. That's when the military steps in and does their 120 days of setting up new elections. And right now, I'm thinking because the elections are already set for November 8th, we're going to get the actual announcement of everything as far as our dysfunctional government sometime in July, which would correspond with that 120 days of setting up new elections to elect a new president. Okay. And a new Congress and everything else, because there's going to be an awful lot of people in Congress, both Senate and House of Representatives, that are going to be implicated in all of this too. And then we're going to have to go back and say, okay, we're going to make the government about 10% its size of what it is now. Can you imagine going to 10% of what we have now as a federal government and all of the bureaucracy and everything else that goes bye-bye because of all of that? So, there's an awful lot. Now, as far as the states that did not participate in the, I'm reading everything here. We had definitely California, Oregon, Minnesota, Illinois, New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Delaware, Vermont, New Jersey, and there was one more. Okay. But most of the New England states did not vote for that. And then, of course, you had, and Nevada actually voted for it. Okay. And then you had Hawaii abstain because they want to go back to being their own sovereign country again. All right. So those were the 10 or 11 ones that did not participate. All right. So if you're in those states, you need to pay attention to who's getting elected and whatnot, because those are the people who are voting against having the Convention of States and rejoining the Republic. And those people need to be ousted. All right. We have work to do. You can't just sit back on your laurels. Right. And
I would have thought what you said earlier on, the flags are now fully flying at the tops, because you are now a republic, because you had the correct number of states, 34, and you actually had 38, so you had 4 to spare, basically.
That is correct.
That surely we can't be in a limbo land. You must be a republic now.
Yeah, we are a republic, but there are some states in flux because the representatives did not vote in order to become part of the republic again. So you still have those outliers out there because of the representatives didn't vote for it. Now
that would have been included in what the number they're going to do. Thousands of arrests, apparently. It's all going to start now. Arresting people who are there unlawfully, basically. That includes all the road police and things in all countries. It's not just in America.
Right. What they're doing is those people who are who voted against the going back to the republic side of things instead of the corporation. Those people are being told you are forgetting your oath of office, and your oath of office specifically states XYZ. And right now you are committing treason by not abiding by your oath of office. And that is what's going on right now.
But can we go back to what I was trying to get at? There is a commander-in-chief, and he's nothing to do with the Republic. He is a commander-in-chief because the military asked him to be. Yeah. And that is the man, and his team surely are now in a very powerful position to oversee all this, because that's where it had to go eventually, because the corporations now are declared bankrupt and what is it, in liquidation completely now. The 3 pillars we were talking about is been declared in liquidation. Therefore, they cannot have anything to do with the Democrat Party and all that sort of thing, because that's all part of the Illuminati cabal, and as we found out. So you must have some stability in a country, which has got to be down to the military, and the military have a commander-in-chief. And that surely is the man now until you have the complete elections.
Correct.
And that's why I think he's been shuffling around. Oh, this is just conjecture, but I think that's why he's been shuffling around saying, yes, I'm coming back, but you don't know how he's coming back.
That's right.
Right, exactly. There's been several speculations of how he could come back, including being elected to, being nominated and elected to the Speaker of the House position by the House of Representatives. But I don't think that's going to be the case.
Well, no, it's not, because you don't have a House of Representatives anymore. That's all been abandoned, because
that's correct.
Because it was the Supreme Court that didn't do what they were supposed to do, apparently, which has triggered it all off. And now that everything has collapsed, and it's collapsed in China with the bankruptcy of the Evergreen company, and that's brought down the Bitcoins and everything with it. So all Bitcoins are now been declared
illegal.
Illegal, basically, yes.
And worthless.
It will be the currency that the white hats will bring in now for us all to keep the peace and everything. So the whole thing, if you accept that the military are there to help us, and they will not be against us I'm talking about the global military. I'm not talking about the military in the UK, because I still think they're tainted.
Right. Now, if you're talking about anything by the United Nations, that is bad. Okay.
That's exactly right. And that's exactly right. Yeah.
All
And I
right.
think
So it has to be
now,
local military. It has to be local sovereign military, not United Nations.
that's right, and that's where I think we are being put in that position by Mr. Johnson, who actually I think is commanding the army. Don't forget we have a Ministry of MOD here, or the Ministry of Defence,
Right.
which really is the top of the armed forces in the UK. But I
Right.
think you're seeing now that the way that we in the UK rushed to the aid of the Ukraine army, not the people. That was what really disturbed me, and they are following really United Nations and NATO,
That's
because
right.
we put more of our resources into that as taxpayers.
Yes.
And really,
It's been nothing but a big money laundering scheme for the banking cabal.
It's absolutely right. So our army is always said it's taken the shilling of the monarch, or the monarch shilling is what it goes back to in ancient times. But, but at that time, under our constitution, the monarch was to look after the people, and everything's changed dramatically in the laws in the UK as well as it has in the States. But if you look at it, the Queen, we now find, did not complete her oath in 1953 properly.
That is correct.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear that.
We've had no monarch since King George VI.
Oh,
right,
really?
and that is because she did not complete her oath of office
So
originally.
if the military are the Queen's, they're taking the Queen's shilling, they're not ours.
Well, that's true. You know, if they're the British forces, the Royal Forces, so it's the military belong to the cabal, so to speak.
The military belongs to London, London is a city state. Okay.
That's right. Yep.
And that's where we run into the problem. Okay. Is that they belong to a city state and not to the country. Same thing, right. same kind of concept as our military here in the United States, except for, we have the separation of everything, whereas the United Kingdom did not, or London did not. Okay.
Well, the city of London is still separate from the rest of the country.
Right. Like Washington, D.C. is separate from the rest of the country. It's its own city state. Power. It is a foreign power.
Foreign power, exactly.
But it is considered. It is considered over the military. All right, by most people. But the thing that the people don't understand is, under our Constitution, the military decides who their commander in chief is. All right. Just like the House of Representatives can choose whoever they want to be the Speaker of the House. All right. So, and when you become president of the United States, you don't automatically become commander in chief of the military. The military decides who their commander in chief is.
And we know who the current commander in chief is, and it's certainly not Biden.
It's certainly not Biden.
It's
certainly not Biden, because that was announced anyway. But the other thing that everybody seems to have missed is our Constitution is not recognised by an awful lot of people, because it's been overridden for many, many years now. And
That's right.
It was only in 2001, 23rd of March, that the barons who uphold the Article 61 of our Constitution decided to step in and stop Tony Blair giving the sovereignty of the UK away to a foreign power called the EU.
Right. And they're trying to do the same thing again. They're trying to do the same thing again under the guise of health.
This is a confusion here, because nobody knows the real truth, because it was never let out. And again, it was the mainstream media that hid it, except for one paper. And we still all have that, and we use that as evidence for the Constitution to be valid, because it was used this century in 2001. And that was before all the things happened later on that year, in 9/11, etc.
Yeah,
so
right.
We had the Queen almost dismissed really from the Constitution, because she reneged on the Constitution oath that she took, because that's what it is. And also she's reneged on the Constitution by going against what King John sealed, which is the monarch's subserviency to the people. So here we've got a lot of people saying, well, the Constitution was never really written, and they're so wrong. But this is what we've been taught in our colleges and schools and everything, which is absolutely
Right.
propaganda.
We've been taught a falsehood for forever and a day, and now we have to all be re-educated in the way things are supposed to be.
So you can
So it's
imagine
going to
my
take some time.
joy. You can imagine my joy when we were told that 1776 now rules worldwide.
Yeah.
As a
Absolutely, yes.
So
Yep.
I now understand that because it's based on our Magna Carta. Now, how can it be not valid?
Yeah. All right. So Ron, thank you. We gotta
Yeah,
I just thought I'd put a bit
get
of
on with
history.
everything here.
we'll get on with the news. I think I
Okay.
didn't get very far.
All right. Go ahead, Peter.
but they
I hope
were
this helped anyway.
yeah. It was
Thank
a
you.
very important topic, though. I think it was
Yes,
good that we
very much.
talked about
Very
that.
much so.
We're all learning about this as well, and so maybe the big event on Friday the 20th, which is tomorrow, is about that. Is about the announcement of the U.S. ink dying or whatever, or the Republic. We don't know. We'll have to wait till it's found out. But it's certainly been announced that 4 p.m. EST there's going to be a big announcement, and that's going to be interesting. On Saturday, the 14th of May, the US Supreme Court failed to set down the unlawful Biden regime in the criminal, traitorous, unlawful 2020 elections, according to Fleming.
Mm-hmm.
Biden handing over US sovereignty to WHO, you just mentioned that.
Right.
That is also an issue. It's not only that, it's the EU also wants to do the same.
Right. And they've been trying to do this forever and a day, and they tried to do it through the United Nations by giving away the sovereign power of the people of the United States to the United Nations, in the United Nations coming in and taking away our Second Amendment rights under international law, under the Paris Accord. That was a nefarious thing that Obama tried to accomplish during his first term, but there were enough people that found out about it that it didn't happen. They are trying to do the same thing, only this time under the guise of health. And they're trying to give away our sovereign rights in our health to a entity that is neither elected or by the people. And everybody pay attention to this stuff, folks, because this is a lesson in civics. If you don't know what's going on with your government and what they're trying to do, you can have your rights easily taken away with a stroke of a pen. All right, just because they're acting on your behalf and they think they have your best interests at heart. You need to pay attention, and that's what got us into this mess in the first place. Is we stopped paying attention to what our elected officials were doing.
Well, or rather, the people were told to not pay attention by the media, and
Right.
Lots of people are just believing the media.
Exactly.
Because these rights are inalienable. We can't lose them, but they're just pretending we can.
Right. So what else we got?
So the U.S. Treasury is now under military control, and they're saying that exchange redemptions would mostly be at banks for the process. But I'm also hearing that in some cases, particularly for the Zim bonds, it could also be at military locations. Mass arrests are still going on. The latest of the arrest was 17 Jewish rabbi in New Jersey, who were charged with sex and organ trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
They had been doing this for over 10 years and typically getting 40,000 to 50,000 per organ.
Right. And totally, I mean, these people are sick, really sick.
And a lot of those are in Ukraine as well. I mean, that is like the headquarters of the human trafficking things. And the US debt clock, and I checked this out myself, I actually looked it up, is going backwards. That you actually in some of the items like credit card debt and things, it's actually going backwards, and your debt is getting less and less. And that was a nice thing to see.
Been watching it. It's our credit card debt is slowly but surely coming down, and it's being passed off to the banking cabal. Hey, you made this debt. It's yours. Don't expect the people to pay it back.
Yeah. The Iraqi government bank has been removed from the international sanctions list, probably also an important prerequisite for their currency. The ZIM is a bond, not a currency. It's gold back and would be redeemed at 1-to-1 digitally for humanitarian processes. I find that hard to believe because we've got 100 trillion. Does that mean we get $100 trillion? It's
Well, no, I mean most of it is supposed
there's
to be
enough.
used. Yeah, it's supposed to be used for humanitarian purposes.
Yeah, sure, but I mean 100 trillion. If which you get 100 trillion note, it's unbelievable if that is the case.
Well, I mean, you think about it. That's 3 times the national debt plus 10 million or
Yeah.
10 trillion. Okay. You have, because the national debt right now stands at about $30 trillion plus. And, so you take that, multiply that times 3, that's $90 trillion. Then you add another 10 trillion on top of that. That is what $100 trillion note is. So
And we're supposed to get that for a 100 trillion note.
well, no, they're not going to give you that
Unbelievable.
exchange rate, but you're not going to get that for personal
Yeah.
use. You're going to be able
No.
to use all of that for humanitarian projects.
Well,
And I think
okay.
that's what the
Don't
main
get
thing
too
is.
excited, guys, please, because the token is what it's against, and the token is the ruble is now valued against the ounce, is it, or of gold?
No, it's valued. It's valued against a gram of gold, but also
gram of gold. That's right.
All
And
right,
that's
but
the
also
token.
the yuan is also at this point,
Yeah.
and it's going to become the global currency that everything follows.
It's whatever that token is worth, which is the gram of gold. Whatever
Right.
gram of gold is worth is what we're talking about now. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all the same, these are unbelievable numbers. It'll take us a while to get used to that, but I think we'll just move on, and that the money will no longer be important. If we need something, we'll just buy it.
We're hoping that we come into the era that we don't have to worry about money anymore. We're all stuck in that 3D reality where money is everything, and I think we're just going to have to change our way of thinking. That's all.
Yes, that's right. So, who saw the lunar eclipse?
I did. It was
Um,
beautiful. I had a very, very, very beautiful evening here watching
Yeah.
that. And while it was happening, when it first started, you have to time it just right. But whenever it first starts, if you start at the beginning and you play Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd, the entire album, it lasts throughout the entire eclipse.
Wow. So you did that, did you? You played the
I
Dark
did
Side
that.
of the...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
It's
Yes,
a great
I did.
album, by the way. I love
It's
that
a great
one.
album. Okay.
Dark Side of the Moon, and yeah, to be honest, I didn't go. I'm not even sure I could have seen it from where I am. I think it was just in the wrong part of the world, but I'm not 100% sure because I didn't really look up the times properly. Does anyone know if it was viewable in the UK or Europe?
Anybody see it over in Europe? Over in the UK? Type yes, no, maybe. No, here in the United States, it was very.
We're getting
visible.
both. We're getting yes and no.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought about it. I could have gone out, but I don't know. I think I was just tired that night and didn't go out. Although astronomy has always been interested for me.
Well, here it started at approximately 9:14 p.m. on Sunday evening, Central Standard Time here in the United States.
Yeah, so that's going to be about 3 in the morning at my time.
Yeah, something like that. But it was quite extraordinary. It was actually the full flower moon. Okay, when it's at its very apex and huge, absolutely huge in the sky. It was very beautiful to watch. Yep.
Right, and this was where the moon goes red, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. It goes totally red.
So the moon is in Earth shadow.
That is correct, and it stayed that way for about an hour.
Okay, well, looks like I missed something. Let me see what have we got here, which is important. They're talking about a solar flare could fry the internet and probably quite a few satellites. Hopefully not all the Starlink satellites. That would be a problem. Um, we'll just have to wait and see on that one. The the Kabul's NSA to release Apache, Log4j, and Gedindra, wherever that's pronounced, that will burn every computer from the inside, leaving only hard disks where you save photos, etc. Everyone will get new Q computers and phones. Why do you think Q said not only internet kill, but archive everything offline? Now, this is a kind of a weird comment. Um, should all our computers be fried? I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, I don't think that'll happen, but there'll be new software that comes out for sure.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I've welcomed new Q phones and stuff. I've deliberately not upgraded my phone because I think, well, why bother? We're getting a Q phone,
Yeah.
and but I didn't. I thought our computer's going to continue, so we'll have to wait and see on that one. I've certainly been updated. I've certainly been backing up my files which are online because I've recognised that there's nothing worse than losing data which you've been working on for years. Um, so let me see. David Strait says that this all confirms that Lobster, QFS, XRP, RV, GESARA, GESARA is here. We must demand. There's a video related to that.
Yeah, there's a video related to that that's posted on my Telegram channel. Yes, it's very, very powerful stuff.
Right. So let me see. On that page, I didn't actually mark anything. It was all about Hollywood people, and I think we've heard enough of those.
Yeah.
In Ukraine, I think Ukraine is where a lot of things are happening. 960 Ukrainian soldiers have now surrendered to the Russians, and so it's going to get awfully thin underneath that steel mine. And I heard today from the German channel that apparently some important people are flying into Hamburg tonight, where it's said that no, you're not allowed to film it or photograph who gets off the plane.
Right.
It's been speculated that people like Angela Merkel or whatever were coming back from Ukraine. So we were still waiting for that story to develop, but that is the speculation coming out of Germany.
Right. If you'll excuse me for just a moment, I'll be right back.
You'll be okay. You're excused. We'll carry on. And so a lot of things are happening in Ukraine. I think that is also what is holding up the revaluation, because part of GESARA is that all wars worldwide have to stop. So I think that what is happening in Ukraine has to come to an end. But I think they're almost there, from what I'm hearing. The last ones. Interestingly, I saw a picture recently from the European Song Contest. Somebody had photographed the Ukraine who won the event. The Ukraine people actually, as they were walking up to the stage, holding their arm up in a sort of like a Hitler salute. And that was photographed and released on the internet, which I found interesting and doesn't surprise me, to be honest. I don't know if anybody liked what Ukraine song, or probably a lot of you haven't even heard it, but it wasn't particularly good. And I thought they were very clever in that the jury's results did not put Ukraine particularly high. And it was apparently the people's voting which made Ukraine win the event. Now, how do we check that? We can't. And I think that's another one of these Dominion-like vote manipulations, because the song was not that good. Come on. So. So Wells Fargo CEO is sounding the alarm about what's coming for the US economy. That's another thing, which is how now we got someone in the background. Could you be quiet, please?
he has written it out. What's the money?
All right, it sounds like Billy got back because he's the one who normally silences people who switch on their microphones by accident. What stabilizes our structure is real currency backed by gold and silver. Digital is just an extension of that. The dollar, euro, and pound have to fall. They were failing and have been for quite some time. The other world currencies are rising. Once they get close, then we can have our reset. So it's getting fun. And moving on, there's still a lot of chatter about the food issue, where here in Europe, I've been hearing that farmers have been offered double the money for their crops if they destroy their crops or just plant. Or in fact, not even destroying, but planting sort of flowers or things like that instead of crops. And that's more government meddling in trying to destroy our food supply. So whatever you do, when you get money, buy a year's supply. You don't want to starve.
All right. Sorry about that, folks.
Okay, I'm glad you're back. Now cobalt. This seems to be an important issue. There's talk about cobalt 60 dirty bombs which could be released, and while the unvaccinated will probably not be affected by this, those who are vaccinated and have this mRNA, these like this metallic structures in their blood, they are likely to then get accelerated cancer when these cobalt dirty bombs are set off, and this is apparently part of the plan to depopulate. So
also there's other things that I've read about here recently, that with the advent of all of the vaccines that have been put into the military and people around the world, once they start activating some of these nuclear devices that act like EMPs and whatnot, it will set off enough radiation to cause cancer inside of these individuals that have been vaccinated and activate the graphene oxide.
Yeah, that's right. That's basically what this report is about. So I'm hoping that you guys are all still unvaccinated. I'm probably one or two are not. We are the lucky ones. According to Russian intelligence, the German army, Pfizer and Moderna were involved in bioweapon research in Ukraine. Pharmaceutical companies Pfizer and Moderna were involved in bioweapon records under the US in Ukraine. Also, the published documents are said to show involvement of the German armed forces. Igor Krylov, I'm not quite sure I got that right, head of the Russian Defense Ministry's Radiation, Chemical and Biological Defense Sources, said at a briefing on Wednesday. Bypassing international safety standards, he said they had squeezed costs in research. Krylov accused participants in the bioweapon research of testing Ukraine's civilian population, saying leaflets in the form of counterfeit banknotes were infected with the tuberculous pathogen and distributed to minors in the Stepovoy settlement. The organizer of this crime took into account the peculiarities of the behavior of children who have the habit of putting everything in their mouths.
Mm-hmm. Which is scary.
It is scary, yes. It's scary that they're using everything they can against us to depopulate the world, and we have to be aware of what we can, be very careful.
Yes.
We're almost getting to the end. I've got just a little bit more. Mainstream media is now covering the Nazi-affiliated Ukraine military unit they once condemned. There is no better example of how corrupt the American mainstream media has become and how much lined it is with the leftist deep state than the narratives we've seen emerge since Russia invaded Ukraine in late February.
Well, there's something to be that goes along with that. The shooter that happened up in Buffalo, They're trying to paint him as a right-wing extremist. He couldn't be anything further from the truth.
Yeah.
All right. He is a left-wing activist that despises Trump, despises the America First movement and whatnot. And he's on the stuff that he was wearing. He actually had the same symbolism as the Nazis that are with the Azov army over in Ukraine. You know, so he's a neo-Nazi that is, you know, being portrayed as a Trump sympathizer when his own words in his own quote unquote manifesto said the exact opposite.
Yeah, but they will, anybody who they class as neo-Nazi, they're going to say is far right.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the furthest thing from the truth. They are far left and they hate the America First agenda.
But you have Nazi means National Socialism. Well, socialism does not really attune with the right; it attunes with the left.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't.
But even in Germany, if you say was Nazi, you know, ask someone were the Nazis left or right, they will say right.
Mm-hmm. And the people don't realize exactly what Nazism and socialism and communism are all about. They're one and the same. Okay, it's just that one is a little bit more extreme than the other.
Now, it's interesting because in Germany, you have East Germany and West Germany. Now, West Germany was always West, you know, like in the West. But East Germany lived under communism for a very long time until the wall fell.
That's
right. And it's the East Germans who understand this extremely well. You'll find that a lot of the Germans who are awake are actually in East Germany because they recognize communism. They know all the signs. They grew up with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the people in what used to be the Federal Republic of Germany, in the western side, West Germany, we would say in English, who are asleep on these matters.
Yes.
So Putin's Russia is the first largest major country to pull away from the SWIFT system.
Mm-hmm.
And I think kicking Putin out of SWIFT was probably the best thing which could happen to Russia.
Oh yeah, most definitely. But there's been a lot of others that have followed, including China and India and Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan, and the like, in Libya, Syria, Turkey. All have kicked them all out. Venezuela. That's why you're in the BRICS countries. They've all kicked SWIFT out of their countries.
That's right. And in the West, you're seeing a lot of things about, oh, please donate to Ukraine and stuff like that. And apparently all that money is going into the cabal's pockets. It's not going to help people in Ukraine anyway.
That's right.
And I've seen reports of Germans sort of getting food supplies and stuff into a van and driving to Ukraine. And when they get to Ukraine, they find it just gets dumped by the website. There are big, huge mounds of food and supplies which have been donated and brought there, and they're never used. They just rot.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so that a lot of people actually got there with supplies, thinking they were all helping the people. Were just rather shocked, and I've seen plenty of YouTube videos from
anybody asking you to support Ukraine and donate money to Ukraine, you know, that you see on television or what have you, those are the real black hats. Those are the real people who, you know, who are doing child trafficking and money laundering and drug trafficking and things of that nature. Don't trust them. Anybody, I don't care who it is. It may be the pastor that you love, or it may be a politician that you like, or what have you. If they're asking for that type of stuff, don't trust them. Don't run away from them. Get away from them.
Right. So I'm going to shorten the rest down to saying that everything seems to be on schedule, and Taiwan is also due.
Oh.
Yep. All right. But also, you know, should I say it or should I not say it? If I do it, I did a whipping. I do it.
I should say you shouldn't say it. Yeah.
Everything is under control behind the scenes. I'll just, you know, now I'm going to get a whipping. Okay.
Right. So Taiwan is also got lots of human trafficking. Taiwan is like the eastern Ukraine, I think, in a lot of ways. I was always wondering why the Americans were so keen to protect Taiwan. Well, they're just protecting their own deep state funding. It's not about the Taiwan people at all. So, anyway, that's all the news I wanted to go through.
All right, great. Well,
Quite a lot of interesting stuff today,
oh yeah.
and you get the feeling like we're like on the verge of something great, but there's still some nasty bits to get through.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's get into some questions here. Piper, go ahead and unmute, dear.
Hi there.
Hi, Piper.
Hi, Piper. We haven't seen you before, I don't think, have we?
Yeah, you have.
We
Yeah,
have.
we have. Yeah, Piper's been on before.
I
Oh,
usually
okay.
had David Mahoney's background, the same thing.
Okay.
Oh, it's the background we put me off.
Mm.
Yeah, I changed it.
Right, good. Yeah, that's good.
I put a tree in there. I love trees.
Yeah, I much prefer it, to be honest.
Yeah,
Yep.
there you go.
Anyway, I just have one question, basically, and then I just want to kind of comment on what you guys have said. But my one question is about the 38 states.
Yes.
Is there a list of them other than the one that has been going around in the chat here? Because I don't know how, because they're still asking for people to sign on to get names on.
Yeah, you can go
Like it hasn't-
to who did the best one on this is done by Chaz Peters or Chaz Carter from Patriot Party
Oh.
News.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. He did a real good expose on that.
Did he?
Uh-huh.
And do we know the names of the states that were there?
The names of the states that were there. It's easier to put out the states that weren't there. Okay.
Okay, so we can just assume the ones that weren't there, the ones that
That
were
is
there.
that is
but
that
were
is
not on
correct.
that list.
Let's make this easy. Which state are you in?
I'm in Utah, but I had somebody else. I shared it on I have this other group that I'm on Signal, and I shared all this stuff. They're a really open group. I've been pretty amazed, very careful in how I share some of this stuff because people just like freak out. But anyway, I shared it with them, and somebody was asking if these other states were included in it, and I didn't see any of that in the stuff that I was looking for, and that's the question why I wanted to ask you guys. So
Okay. Yeah, would you get rid of Mitt Romney for us, please?
oh, he was, I don't know why people voted him in. Well, okay, he wasn't voted in. I'm sure it was and it's been rigged for a long time because he was known as a crook for a long time by a lot of people. But it's just like anybody. You can't, I mean, I've been studying this stuff since I was very young even, and have been politically involved in some things to a point, raising my family and stuff like that. But he was known when they tried to bring the Olympics over here. There was some nitty gritty stuff that he pulled, and it was kind of put under the rug, but most people knew it. But then he went and became a governor of whatever state that was, and they asked why he didn't run. Yeah, Massachusetts. Why he didn't run in Utah, and he said because nobody would vote for him because of what happened with that
right.
Olympics.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So he's a jokester, but we know it's a crooked run, how it got in. But I will say one good thing with our one senator, and that's Senator Lee.
Yes.
He's very constitutional, and people have put him down on a lot of things, but they don't know him, and from what you guys were saying, and this is my comment that I kind of wanted to make, is we are heading into a time that none of us really have done. Not even these people who are kind of in charge know how to even really move forward other than what they've learned. And I love David Straight and I've been following him for quite a while too. And I became an American State National, guys. I'm so excited. And we have a group here that is really making a movement in Utah. And I live in a rural area, and our area has been very getting together. And it's been like the extreme area that we have done it. I live in a little town called Spring City, and I'm in a county called Sanpete County, and it has a lot of little towns around it.
Okay.
But anyway, but it's been, our movement here is really taking things out. And this is what we have to do. I just love, you know, the things that Ron has brought into this and that you guys are bringing in, because this is what we've got to do to change things. And David Strait has even brought that out. He said these things have already been done, but we've got to make some of these things, take it out there. And so I share as much as I can with people. Some people push me away, and then some people, you know, at least I'm planting a seed on some. But
well, yeah.
Anyway, it's just, and I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate you doing what you've done and all the hard work you've put into it. And I feel, yeah, I just don't know how you do it, Peter, and all the things and the little bit of sleep that you get.
Yeah, I must admit, I've been getting very little sleep recently. I didn't expect the editing of that Birmingham video to take quite so long. I thought I'd be getting it through in about 2 or 3 days, and I'm still on it now. Okay, I have obviously did things in between, which are other things, but I've been on it every day since. But it's worth it. It's worth it. It's going to be a great show when it's released.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Piper. Appreciate the comments and everything.
And somebody asked here, what paperwork do you need to be able to do that? Let me just point you out to one website that you can go to. It's called TASA.AmericanStateNationals.org.
All right.
And
If you would copy and paste that into the chat.
I'll do that right now.
And you can also share it on the Telegram channels as well. Okay.
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 Sounds great.
Right. Thank you, Piper. Now, before we go further,
yes.
I did see something in the chat from Miriam, and she was kind of complaining about us. I'll just quote her: "So tired of your fear porn." Followed up by your cavalier comment, "Everybody here is probably not vaxxed." That was probably from me. Well, most of us here are beloved people who are vaxxed. We, from the beginning, have been saying, don't get vaxxed. We are not responsible for the people who are vaxxed, and we've been trying very hard to get people not to. But these people will not listen to us. Yeah. And there's nothing we can do. We have tried everything to stop people getting the vaccines, providing information. If you look back on my channel, on GESARA QFS on Telegram, you'll find tons of anti-vax information there. We've tried everything we can to stop people getting vaxxed, but even in my own family, people have got vaxxed.
Well, it comes down to individual choice and free will. All right. You have the will to choose however you want to choose. All right. But don't expect us to, we have empathy, but we don't have sympathy. Okay. There is a difference in between empathy and sympathy. You made your choices. All right. We made ours. We're sorry that you're going through this. We're going to pray for you in every way, shape, or form and try to figure out a way of doing it. But it was your choice.
Well, or whoever Miriam knew who got it, but maybe Miriam herself is unvaxxed, but she knows people. But we all know people who are vaxxed, and we all know people. And I certainly fought hard in my own family when I heard people were going to get vaxxed. I provided them with information. I tried to get them, but they just wouldn't listen. They just said, "Oh, I'll take my chances," and I need it for my job, or whatever excuse they made.
My own sister is going through it right now. Okay.
That's right. Mine too. My brother is with me. He's not vaxxed. He's he's done that. But even one of his daughters got vaxxed. So it's really sad that when people you've grown up with and known all your lives make this terrible decision.
Yep, for sure. But we'll move on. Jenna, go ahead.
Hi. I don't usually pipe in very much because I just listen to others, but I myself have not been vaxxed, and my boyfriend has, and that must be tough. it is difficult to see people you love.
Mm.
But at the same time, I do realize it's his choice,
Mhm.
and been advised, to not get vaxxed. There are remedies that we can use.
Yes.
David Mahoney is helping a lot with the ivermectin and the hydrochloroquine and pine needle tea and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So when I think what's happening now is we are at a stage where those that are going to fall away from the truther movement are just
Mhm.
going to do it anyway, because they came here, I think, on maybe a false hopium.
Mm.
Yes.
And what you have to realize is, yes, everyone has some hope and some hopium, but in the end, God wins. In the end,
Yes.
and I liken this into like Dungeons and Dragons. I love playing that game.
I played it. I've been there, done that.
I
Right.
play with others, and God is not going to put us against a 36 level monster when we are level 2 or 3.
Right.
So that's what the white hats are for. And there's not much we can do beyond what we can do, depending on our connections in our own families. Some of us is going to be required to do more than others because of our connections. And I just wanted to kind of give hope, because I was also on the Telegram site, and I was listening to communications going back and forth of, oh, I'm done, I'm throwing in the towel,
Mm-hmm.
and I understand where they're coming from, but I just wanted to say my heart goes out to you. There are truthers that have been doing this for 30 plus years and they haven't quit. Why should we?
Mm.
Right. Exactly.
That's right. Yes.
The thing about it is whenever we're talking about stuff that is happening in whatnot, and you hear in the Bible, in the book of Revelation, about the 144,000, all right, that are God's light workers, God's warriors, and things of that nature. There are a lot of people that have gotten into this fight that have fallen by the wayside. All right. And the reason is they can't handle it. All right. Well, let's think about one story real quick. And I've mentioned this many times before, the story of the walls of Jericho and Gideon's army, and how God whittled down his army from the thousands that he had down to 300. And the story of how he whittled down his army to what he needed Gideon to have. All right. This isn't for everybody. Okay. As been mentioned many, many times before. All right. The end is not going to be for everyone. All right. There are going to be those who think they know what they need to do and then don't have the stomach for it. There are people who think that they know how to do things, but then really don't. Okay. And God is, I hate to say this to some people, but God is whittling out his army. He really is. All right. He's finding who has the stomach for this, who's into it for the full long haul, and who's willing to stand up and fight for what they believe in. And it's there's not very many out there, really.
Now, one thing you said your partner was vaxxed. Were you not able to persuade him to? No, I'll tell you what I did with my wife, because my wife was under pressure to get vaxxed, and I just said, look, there is no compromise here, because once you have the spike proteins in you, there's no way of getting them out. And if you have that, then you're going to be infectious, and there's no way I can then share a bed with you or anything like that, because, or even get too close because of that, and that will never go away. So you have to make your choices, and luckily we found way. I mean, she's a teacher. She teaches online, and she teaches online. So we found a way that she could continue to be unvaxxed, and to this day she's unvaxxed. And we just found a way that she just gives online lessons and things like that. And that's fine. And it was very important to me to keep her safe, as you can
Mhm.
imagine.
May I say something here, guys?
Yeah,
Yes.
sure, Ron.
I did some mentoring for quite a long time, and you come up against these blocks in other people, and what you have to do is to tell them that they made a decision about where they were, but that it's not the end. They made a decision. They take responsibility, and they try at their best to put it right. And there is one way, and that's to do your meditation and go in and talk to your God who's within you, your creator who's within you. Literally talk to your higher self, we call it now. And that will help you in many, many ways. It will give you peace,
Mm-hmm.
and it will give you compassion too within you. And you don't need to get annoyed about it. You need to get loving the person that's done it, because you, by doing that, can help them
Yep.
find their God within them. And I'm
Don't-
going to
don't-
say to Peter too that the med beds will work if you have the mindset in the right place to do it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it won't
That's
if
right.
you don't have that mindset. And that man means everything, because I've learned throughout my life that if you have a desire and you believe it can happen, it will.
That's right. I agree with that.
That is very true. Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it, Jenna.
Yeah. Carry on, Jenna.
Sorry, can I tell one experience I had, because it goes along with what I heard Gene Decode say about the vax, and that these people that are vaxxed that have the graphene oxide and the nanotechnology, one of their purposes was to, when they flipped on the switch, they would be the sleeper cells, or the army that is from within. That, you know, it's like with the mind control, you have a disassociation personality disorder,
Yeah.
and then you song come on, and then your alternate self comes up awakened, and you're all of a sudden violent and not peaceable. And that he was referring to that, and it was kind of alarming to me to know that could be a thing. And let me tell you what happened with my boyfriend, and I don't live with him. I see him 3-4 times a month, which is probably better for me because of the spike proteins and everything. But
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When I was talking to him about the vaccinations and stuff like that, and that they're actually bioweapons, and I was red pilling even less than that, I think. And I wanted to just kind of prepare him, and he said, "What? I'm an intelligent man. You've taken away my intelligence. I have nothing now." And he like said, "Oh, I'm just one of the puppets," and like he was starting to act like someone that I didn't recognize. And it made me think, like, this topic is supposed to like maybe the mind control aspect of it is, if he talks about this topic, he gets a certain way. And gets
what that is just the programming that he's experienced for years.
Right.
All right.
Well, yeah.
And it is very, once you believe in a certain way, all right, it is very disheartening and sometimes very traumatic to find out that you have been lied to forever and a day, and
Yeah.
to actually believe that. You all of a sudden are like, wow, what do I believe in anymore? Okay.
Right.
Because I was taught to believe this way, and now I can't believe it anymore because I found out the truth.
Well, what
Right.
I do in these cases, I found if you tell people things, they will reject it. So what I do instead is I ask questions.
Mhm.
I ask them questions about their beliefs, which I know will push them in the direction I want them to go. Because by asking questions, saying, "Look, I'd like to hear your opinion on this. I heard this." Where you're getting them to, because you're asking them, they feel that their intelligence is being engaged.
Right.
And then if you can ask it in the right way, they will then start looking for answers to your questions, and then they're much more likely to discover the truth, because you will believe what you've researched yourself much more than something which somebody told you.
Yeah, and I did that, and at the very beginning, I asked him a lot of questions, and then I told him who I follow and where I get my information. He looks it up quickly on Google, of course,
Oh God,
and
yeah.
says, "Oh, this is discredited." Snopes said that that's inaccurate, or like
Snopes.
Yeah. Or Wikipedia, I suppose, is the other one he's referring to. Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
I interject here again? Sorry, because
Yeah, sure.
it comes down to really listening to what the gentleman is saying who's had the jab, because I've got to say to you all, miracles do happen. You are all miracles, and
That's right.
Yeah, we are.
truth. And you're also one in a million.
That's right.
And when you actually look at everything that's going on, we can influence others so much more than you realize. And we haven't even started talking about the power of Mother Nature.
True.
Mother Nature can help you more than you think she can. And all that technology, also all that knowledge is coming back fast now. And we saw it a few years ago in about 2014-15 with a group that actually started, a guy called Ty Bollinger and his wife, Charlene. And they ran
we
the
lost
Truth
you, Ron.
About Cancer.
Hello?
But they had a lot of very, very learned people in the truth industry in medicine. Because they didn't it was all natural. It was all holistic. And
Yes.
they still performing what I consider miracles today. And one guy that comes up, he stood with it all the way through, and that's Brzezinski. His name is Dr. I think he practices in Mexico or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
But this all comes back to my my mentoring days, and I did mentoring for free, by the way. It wasn't. I didn't charge for it. This is what I loved doing, which is a different angle of it. And I actually had I obviously qualified for it. I did a proper course with the guru in front of it, and really it was all based on the book by Napoleon Hill called Think and Grow Rich. Now, if you look at what he came up with, is always think positive and use 8 positive emotions. But how do you know what to say when you are mentoring people? It was a question you had to ask yourself or put to yourself in your mind. Yeah. So, and the answer is always listen with your conscious mind, keeping the 8 positive emotions at the front of your mind at all times, with no agenda. And that helped me so much when I was getting some pretty difficult times when people said, "Oh no, you can do it, but it's impossible for me." But that's where you say, what do you really want to do? And that's where you bring up the first of the 8 positives, which is the desire to do something. It's your intuition. It's what you were there for. It's part of your makeup of why you are different to other people. It's the beginning of the skill that you think about, because you're using it. That's the only thing that we've got is in uniqueness is our skill set. It is part of the mission that we were given by a creator when we came onto this land. And it's your spiritual bit within you that will then complete the mission when you're then taken on. Your spirit never dies, don't forget. You're taken on to the next dimension. What have we been talking about here all the way through all this? This is a great awakening to help people understand there is another dimension that we all must go onto eventually. When we complete our missions on this land. But the point is, all these things are mindset things. And if you put your mind to it, we know now that these holistic doctors do already have a method of actually getting these poisons out of our body.
Yes.
Our bodies are still sacrosanct to that. And our immune system is the key to everything. Okay, I'll leave that with you anyway. But,
all right, thank you.
Okay.
Jenna, thank you.
Yeah.
Let me comment on that. My German doctor, or one of the German doctors I work with, or particularly in alternative medicine, he has actually developed using resonance therapy, means of stopping or reversing the jab, so to speak. And he's developed a system. You need a device, costs about $400, something like that. Plus his chip. The chip has all the programming on it, and he has specific chips for each type of jab. And he's been having tremendous success in removing the symptoms and removing the effects of the jab with these people. He's based in Germany. In fact, he's recently set up a lab in Switzerland because he was concerned about the German politics here. So he's between Germany and Switzerland now all the time. But I've known him for about 15 years, and I have his device. I have it. I have his chips, and I must admit,
Yeah.
It works. And I've probably sent about 50 people to him who I know in Germany, and I've always got good results from that. And so I've certainly been doing my bit to send people who have been affected to him as a means of recovering. And so far, it seems to have worked.
Okay. The other thing that was announced, and I didn't mention it earlier on, was the rest of the GESARA Act, and the act that we're not thinking about yet because we just don't know. It's the 6,000 new technologies,
Right.
Yes.
and they will go with the bed. But you see, if you believe enough in yourself that you will be able to overcome it, you will.
Yes.
That's right.
Most definitely. All right. But thank you, Ron. Thank you, Jenna.
You will.
I certainly think that what Billy and I are doing with this show is helping a lot of people. Not the 200-300 people who are with us tonight, but you have to remember our shows are viewed probably about 6,000-7,000 times by people as a recording, and with that we're reaching quite a lot of people with our message, and I think that we're doing a very important job here.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure. So Debbie, Debbie Hirsch, go ahead. Debbie, are you there? Debbie seems to be non-existent. Thomas, we'll come back to you, Debbie.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Very
hi,
good. How are
Thomas.
you?
Fine, thank. The question I had is about the law things you're talking about earlier about the constitution and all change and everything else, and how that's affecting the law courts and stuff as well. So how has that been played out with James Durham this week in America?
Hello, can you hear me?
Don't know for sure. Debbie, we'll come back to you here in just a moment. Right now, we're on with Thomas right now, but thank you. Give us just a minute, Debbie. Okay.
So I was just wondering, is that changing the way that he's doing his case, or is the court case still going ahead to try and lock these dog cats up, whatever?
Well, yeah, everything is proceeding. You know, you're talking about John Durham, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The deck seems to be stacked up against him. The judge's wife or what have you was partners with somebody who was in the Clinton campaign and whatnot. Several of the jurors are high profile donators to the Democratic Party and things of that nature. So it seems that the deck is stacked against him. But one thing you'll know about Durham is he never asks a question unless he can back it up with the correct answer. All right. And also has done his homework and has multiple sources that he is going to be able to refute whatever answer the person on the stand has to say. Okay. And put it against them. So he is very, very thorough, very, very, on top of things. So it'll be interesting to see how this gets spun by the media. Yeah,
he sounds to be a bit like Columbo. Columbo, he always was asking questions, and just as he was leaving the room, he just turned around and said, "Oh, and there was one more thing."
Oh, pardon me. There's one more thing that I need to ask you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and then he comes with the really hard stuff. Yeah,
exactly. By the way, before I go,
that's right. So I think John Durham's a bit like that.
Right.
Guys, I know Tom personally, so we've yet to meet. He lives just down the road from me in Chichester. So we'll hope we meet one day, and I can help you with all of these things. Okay.
There's a few of us living beside each other. We'll be able to help each other the next few weeks, which would be great.
Right. All right. But thank you, Thomas. Appreciate it. All right. Debbie, we're going back to you. Debbie.
Hi, Debbie. You seem to be in your car.
Yep. You got to unmute, dear.
Unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we got you. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Hi guys.
Hi, Debbie.
Okay.
Where are you, Debbie? You're in the road.
Hi guys. I'm in Dallas, Texas, and I'm lost in a parking lot in a shopping center.
Oh, right.
So nothing else is new. So that's new for me. So anyway, here's my question. Let me just pull over here. If
don't have any accidents.
You have to be prepared. Oh, please, dear God. Do you have to be prepared for a humanitarian project?
Yeah, sure.
To get your get your RV. Wait, hold on one second.
Right.
Let me put this in my ear.
So let me
wait, 1 second. Half a second. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm ready.
All right. So the question is, do you have to have a humanitarian project in order to redeem your Zim notes? Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. It is preferable if you do. Okay. If you do not, they will have projects that you can invest in. All right. If you feel that, all you want to do is just help humanity the best way you possibly can, go in it with a humble heart. In the way I'm going into it, I am going in with a project, but I am also going in with the attitude of, look, I understand that that humanity needs help. I am here to serve in whatever way I can, in the best possible way. So what do you need from me? Okay. Instead of going at it from the attitude of what can you do for me? I'm going at it with the attitude of what can I do for you? Okay. And what can I do for mankind? Use me. I'm here as a servant. Okay. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. So let's say you know of something that you'd like to be involved in.
Right.
Oh, go ahead. Did you want to say something?
No, carry on.
There's a, I was going to say I live in Dallas, but you were speaking of the Bollingers the other day, but there's a group which I know very, very well because I had cancer and I went to the symposiums and we got to be friends, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, there's a group in Austin called Autism Trust. I'm very interested in being a part of that. In fact, I'm going to move to Austin one day when my ship comes home. My ship comes in, you know what I mean? And so let's say you want to be involved with a group that's already established and want to give them money to do more things. That they're doing wonderful things. They're building facilities on a large area of land that they've bought. This is now a couple of years old. That it eventually one day all of these kids that have autism are not going to have caretakers because their moms and dads are going to be, they're going to be gone. And where are these kids going to go? So the group, it's called the Autism Trust. It's the same group that came out with the movie Vaxxed.
Okay.
Vaxxed and Vaxxed 2. And, Andy Wakefield and that whole group. They all live in Austin.
Right.
And Polly and Jonathan Tommy are the ones that bought all this land in Austin, and they're building. They're developing it. They've got horses and chickens. I mean, you just sort of see what they're doing. And eventually, one day, I want to move to Austin because my children live there. But let's say I went in to get to revalue my money, and I say I know what I want to do. I don't know what they're going to let me do, but
here's what I would do with that. Okay,
you get the gist.
All right. Well, first of all, it sounds a lot like what I have a project for. Okay.
Great.
Secondly of all, what I would do is make contact with this group and ask them, can you give me just bullet points on what you do, what you want to accomplish, and what your funding is that you think is going to need for a year okay, in order to do it. All right. And just say, I may come into some money. Okay. I don't know. I want to, if I come into some money, I would like to help you out, and have them just give you bullet points of what they do, how much they think it's going to cost for a year in order to do what they do, multiply it out by 25, 30, 50 years. Okay. And go in with that in mind and say, this is the project that I'd like to fund. Ta-da.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
That's right.
Keep it simple. Keep it simple.
I've really been, I've been. And what about when you go eventually to do the med bed, which, God willing, I'm a cancer patient. I just was diagnosed with spinal stenosis. I don't even know what I'm doing driving
Believe
my
me,
car.
I'm right there with you. Okay.
Oh my God, do you have spinal stenosis? No way.
No cushion between the L1, L2, L3, and L4. And
what are you doing? Did you do surgery?
No, because I have an amputated left foot as of last September. Okay, and I can't be an invalid. Okay, so it was either get the foot amputated or start on the spine, and I can't do both at the same time. So doing little things like this, as I mentioned to Peter before, if you see me squirming around and whatnot, and yeah, I do smoke. Okay, but yeah, it takes my mind off the pain, because sitting in this position for extended periods of time puts me into a ton of pain. All right, so enough said about that. I won't mention it again.
You just have good days. I have good days and I have bad days.
Can I just say in here, that's
exactly
the same thing that I've got, because I've got cancer that I'm fighting right now. But I know
Well,
it's the end of the road, because I've decided to do everything all the research, which is why you get to know a lot of things. Everything I do, I research my own. And that's why I come across that I've actually made friends with lots and lots of people in the holistic world in that way, who are going to need our support right now.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead,
so let me just tell you, this is like so super important. This was 7 years ago, and it was bile duct. Well, anyway, that doesn't matter. And they had me going to chemo, and my mother already died of chemo. She didn't die of lung cancer. And I went 4 times, and this is so ironic that you mentioned the Bollingers, because I came across their video, their docuseries, on my 4th trip to chemo. I called them up, the doctors. I said, I will not be back because I have Plan B. And Plan B was doing every single thing in that docuseries. It's called The Truth About Cancer, A Global Quest. Anybody who has cancer. Now, I have not looked back. I did every single thing they said. I ate raw for 2 years. I, of course, keep up with a lot of it, but I wasn't as strenuous now as I was then, but organic. You know the whole story. But my point is that it's been 7 years, knock on wood. I've had not one instance of it coming back, and I had a very, very rare cancer. It's called cholangiocarcinoma. It was in your bile duct, and anyway, end of story. So the Bollingers saved my life. So
wonderful.
Saved my life.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So my next quick question was, when you go to do the med beds, because God willing, they'll help our stenosis.
Yes.
I've heard this all about, you got to be in the right consciousness. Well, God knows, I think I'm at least 4 or 5. I mean, I've been doing this since I was a kid. But anyway, I don't want to boast,
you have to
I don't
believe.
really know what I am, but so
what? Your heart's in the right place already.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Do you think will they ever turn you down if you don't say the right thing?
No.
I don't think so. No. I mean, I think med beds are going to be replacing health insurance and the pharmaceutical industry and all that, and that will be the future of medicine. Let me also add something, because something out of my business. I don't know, probably not so many people know this, but a business I've been involved in for a long time, since about 2001, is a company called Greyfield Optical, which is a microscope company. And it's about a microscope which is very high power and can resolve down to about 50 nanometers. In other words, small enough to see viruses in the living state, which is extremely unusual. Now, the guy who invented this, a guy called Kurt Ulbrich, who I've worked with for a long time. Unfortunately, he's now died, but over 80. He investigated the cancer-causing pathogen, and he confirmed scientifically that the pathogen which causes cancer is pleomorphic. Now, pleomorphic means that according to the pH values of your alkaline or acid, that is either stops the cancer or helps the cancer. Now, cancer needs an acidic body. So what if you can?
Absolutely.
So if you can get your body to be more alkaline, you're going to be converting those cells pleomorphically back into more benign versions. This is what he did. He in fact stopped cancer many times through this method by taking things like kind of baking powder, that kind of stuff.
I did that too.
That's right. In fact, I also take this,
And the Budwig. What about the
which is the
Budwig?
German version of baking powder called the Kaiser Natron, which people in Germany will recognise. And just keeping your body in a neutral pH value is the best thing. Is one of the best things you can do to stop cancer.
I used to check my pH every single morning. With, you can get those little strips.
That's
so
right.
that was a huge. I agree with you 1,000%. That is so important. That is like life or death.
Absolutely.
You get to that, your body's acidic. You're not gonna, it's just no, forget it.
So,
so anyway, back to the med beds. When do you think? Do you think they'll be out right as when GESARA comes? And
shortly after.
I forget every.
Debbie, can I offer you something else, please?
What?
It's wrong.
Yes.
Can I offer you something else? Out of the Truth About Cancer, both are two series. The one that you were talking about was the second one, by the way. The third one just came out. So
that's when I came along.
Book called. There was a book called "Killing Cancer, Not People," and it was written by Robert G. Wright. And in there, he doesn't tell you what to do. He says, if I had that condition, this is what I would concentrate on. And he comes up and he's got lots and lots of testimonials on people that he's managed to cure, right up to stage 4 cancer. He's had good fortune to help them through and be totally and utterly free of it. And really, one of the things is alkalize your body. Yeah. And there are lots of things that you can do, and I have many of them basically already, which I share with other people all the time locally here. So there is lots of things out there that you realise are all under the holistic, and you don't know about them because our famous FDA has been suppressing the whole lot.
Well, exactly. for sure. All right.
Thank God for the Bollingers.
All right. Thank you both for the input. We're running short of time here. I want to move on and get to some more people. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I'll see y'all next time.
I'm just posting in the chat the link to the research which Kurt Ulbrich did into the cancer pathogen. It's translated. He wrote it in German. I translated it into English, and I've just posted it into the chat. Those interested in that will find that document interesting.
All right. So thank you, Kirky. Go ahead.
Kirky. I haven't heard from her for a while.
Hi.
Hi, Kirky.
Couple of things. Some of my friends who have not got any projects, do they have the couple of identifications that you mentioned? An ID and something like a proof of the
well, you're going to have proof of identification.
That's right.
A driver's license, a passport, some sort of thing that just says, who you are and where you live.
That's right. Yeah, you'll need 2 forms.
Okay. Yes. The other thing is, Valerie is asking me, which are my obligations besides the end of the project? I don't understand exactly what she means about the end of the project, but What are the obligations?
Well, obligations are you have to successfully manage the project. Okay. You know, in is the project a finite or infinite? All right. You have to decide whether it's going to be an ongoing thing or whether it has a conclusion of some sort. Most projects are going to be ongoing humanitarian projects. I don't think there's going to be very many that are going to have a finite limitation to them. It just depends on your commitment to how long you want to do the project and whether or not you think it's going to actually come to an end at some point or not.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. The last thing is that I will ask everybody who's listening in the audience to send healing thoughts to my brother, to my older brother Nicholas. And I want to thank you also for this family atmosphere that is really warming my heart every time we are together.
Well, thank you, Kirky, and
That's right, we will do that.
blessings and prayers for your brother Nicholas, and we hope that he gets better as time goes on. All right, thank you. All right, Delise.
Hi, how are you?
Very
nice
good, Delise.
Hi,
nice
Delise.
to see you.
Hi there. Hi.
Are you in Italy or are you still in Israel?
I'm on the way from Israel, on the way to Italy in a short while.
Okay, that's good.
I have to get there for other things, so I'm going to try and do everything there.
That sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, it does it? Okay. Okay. I'm working on like my dates, but yeah, I'm headed there. I wanted to thank you, Billy, for sharing, and thank you, Peter, for that address, because I know it's a lot of people that would be interested in this.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, there's a video that came out called Trumptastic.
Yes.
Where there was, you know it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And they mentioned that there won't be 800 numbers. I just wanted to get some clarity on that because I've been, we've been hearing about the 800 numbers. Is there going to be some other way of contacting us?
Well, the thing about it is we've always been told there would be some sort of way for us to communicate with the redemption centers to find out where we're supposed to go and things like that. Now, whether that comes in the form of 800 numbers, okay, whether that comes in a form of a website that we can distribute to everyone, whether that comes by way of carrier pigeon, message in a bottle, or what have you.
Smoke signals.
The smoke signals. Okay. I'm also relearning my Morse code so I can beat on my big drums outside of my house to get the word out.
Okay. Yes.
All right.
I'll be in trouble.
Exactly.
I'll be in trouble with smoke signals. I'm a non-smoker.
Well, you see, I have the big smoker sitting out here, okay, on my deck that I, do my briskets and pork butts and things of that nature. And, I'm very good at doing smoke.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very good at doing smoke signals and gathering a big crowd because they're all like,
oh, wow, I can imagine. I can imagine a good barbecue. All right, so it'll be all right. So
we'll get the word out somehow. We just don't know exactly what the format is. We've been told 800 numbers. We've been told websites. We've been told, many different things. The fact is we don't know, and nobody else knows either. Okay?
We will find out when it happens. Put it that way.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Okay. And I just want to know. I'm trying to register in the site
on the website. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm having difficulty. Is there a specific link?
If you go into the FAQ, there's a video there which will talk you through the entire process. So if you go to the frequently asked questions section, the top, I think it's the top post. I think it's stuck to it's stuck at the top, and it will and just watch the video. It'll answer all the questions as to how to register and sign up.
Okay. All right. Thanks. One other thing. I have someone else gifted me some currency. They I have a copy of the certification, and a
Okay.
letter from them. Will that
Okay.
be okay?
That'll be fine. I
Fine.
mean, you know,
Okay, a copy
most
of the
people don't.
certificate.
Most people don't even have the receipts for what they bought. As long
Okay,
as
I
you
have the
have the currency,
receipt.
as long as you have the currency and the currency is valid, and they
Okay.
deem it as valid, I don't think they're going to be real picky about that kind of thing.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
All right. All right. Thanks so
Concentrate
much,
on your
you all.
project
Have
if
a-
you have one. Yeah.
Mhm.
What's that? Yes, I do. I've been working on it. And I
Right.
wanted to share, I mean, I've finished working on it, but I wanted to share that I'm taking a course in project management. If anyone's interested, there
Mhm.
is a course in Philanthropy University, which is through Berkeley, if
Right.
anybody's interested. And it's totally free.
Mm.
Nice.
So if anyone's interested, I can try and get the
Yeah,
link.
you
and
post that in the chat and also on the
Okay.
Telegram groups and
Okay, I
you know,
can post on
wherever.
Telegram.
Yeah, we'll
All
be
right.
fine. Okay, but thank you.
Okay,
Appreciate
thanks
it,
very
please.
much.
All right.
Thank you.
Hello, Barbara.
Barbara, yes.
Barbara, one of my friends, lives
Hello.
here in St. Louis as
That's
well.
Billy's friend, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah, yes, yep. I got caught earlier in the storm trying to finish planting, but oh well.
Yeah, there was we had a big thunderstorm that just moved
Yeah,
through.
we got one in Cologne right now, a big thunderstorm. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing I wanted to say, I know we've talked and debated about this. People that were vaccinated.
Mhm.
I was vaccinated. I was vaccinated very early on. You know,
Mhm.
when the vaccination first came out, we were told it was Trump who arranged for it to be done, et
Mhm.
cetera, et
Under
cetera.
Operation Warp Speed.
That's right. Yeah.
Correct.
Correct.
You know, and I made the choice given the information I had and the circumstances I was under. I was taking care, a living caretaker for my parents who were both in their mid 80s.
Mhm.
You know, I decided that, you know, I needed to do what was best for them and not, you know, I didn't think I would get really sick, but if I got sick and gave it to them, that it would be a problem. I'm hoping that I got a placebo.
All right. Let me ask you a question. Do you does anything stick to your arm?
At the injection site, is it
At the injection site? Do magnets stick to your arm? Because
No.
from what I heard, what Trump did was he did talk about the vaccines and how it was good for him, and he put it in the hands of the military to distribute the vaccines, and the military exchanged the nasty stuff for placebos. Right. So if you got a vaccine which was handled through the military, then the chances is high that you got a placebo.
That's correct.
You know, but the fact of the matter is, you know, I'm Irish.
Mm-hmm.
And if the cabal thinks they're going to do me in with this little injection, they got another thing coming.
Well, yeah, of course.
Sorry.
You know, we're very resilient.
All I'm saying now is don't get any more.
Don't get any more, and then you need to go out. You need to find the milk thistle. You need to find the dandelion root. All right, and you need to start making
a lot of that here.
Okay, and you need to start making your teas and detox. Okay.
But I just,
but you know what to look for as far as
milk
thistle is concerned, right?
No, I have no idea what that is.
Milk thistle. It's a purple. It looks like a purple weed. Okay, it's actually the national flower of Scotland.
Oh well.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. It looks. It's a purple weed with a white poof on the top of it.
You know what? I'll look it up on my plant app thing.
Yeah,
but I do just want to say, it is very disturbing sometimes when people just absolutely dismiss you. Oh, you had the vaccine. Oh, you're evil. You have the mark of the beast. You're gonna die. You're done. Wow, you don't know me very well, do you?
No, you can't assume that, because certainly at the beginning, a lot of people got the placebos. I mean, even the bad guys wanted placebos going out first because they wanted to get us all used to getting the vaccines. And if people started dropping dead straight away,
right, nobody would have gotten it.
So even the bad guys were putting out placebos at the beginning. Yeah.
And that's what we think the bulk of people got during the first 6 months was the placebos.
Yeah.
All right. And then after that, everything started going downhill.
That's right. Yeah, particularly the boosters. Those they're supposed to be the nasty ones.
Yeah, the boosters are the really nasty stuff. Okay.
Right.
But
All right.
thank you, Barbara. We'll talk to you again soon.
Okay. Goodbye.
All right, Jillian.
Hi guys.
Hi guys. You've been waiting a long time, I think, on the
yes, you have.
Well, I came on at the beginning and then it flipped off, and here I am back again. I'm a holistic practitioner and empowerment coach, and I would just like to share that with those people who have serious health conditions. Another thing they might want to research is colloidal silver.
Yes.
Silver is is nature's most powerful antibacterial, antibiotic, antifungal, etc. Heals just about everything, MRSA and all sorts of the superbugs out there. It got suppressed in the States when COVID happened. Because it does work. Your attorney general or whatever she is suppressed it, stopped the machines from being sold, stopped the product from being sold. So I just want to share that it can help with certain cancers. It can help with all sorts of conditions. So it's certainly worth researching. Now, I'm not a techie, but what I can do is send to Peter the name and the link for Steve Barwick. He has a company, The Silver Edge. He makes and sells the silver generator. You can make silver at home. Colloidal silver at home. I'm not on his payroll, but his device probably saved my life about 5 years ago. So I can highly recommend going onto his site because it has so many articles and testimonials for people and animals. And it may help someone, even if it only helps one person on this call. It's always worth it. And the second thing, as an empowerment coach, I would just like to say that we have all been bamboozled, pushed around, abused in certain ways these past 2.5 years.
Yes.
That we need to raise our vibration. And this links in with what Peter was saying earlier at the beginning of, imagine, visualize your project, you doing your project. I would like to bring it a step forward because how many people here at the moment feel really good about themselves, really good about their lives, and are feeling prosperous at this particular time. We need to start feeling this feeling of prosperity and wealth, whether it's financial, whether it's giving, whether it's receiving, whatever it might be. But we need to start getting this vibration, feeling, being in a prosperous world, our own prosperous lives, prosperity with our families, even if they've been jabbed, situations can change and things like that. And start feeling this vibration and joy within us. We really need, because also if we're not feeling this is going to drag out the implementation of the RV, because the energy of us of a higher vibration, yes, we obviously are in a higher vibration, otherwise we wouldn't be here. But we need to elevate it even more. This is my humble opinion. And so, if we can raise it as a collective, we may even speed up the RV and the vibration around the planet.
Correct. And in my conversations with other people during the last couple of days have really raised my awareness of how many people are right now coming together, okay, and finding their soul families, all right, in the universe, all right, and bringing those people together like we are here. I mean,
That's right.
you look at the pictures and the videos of people who are here in this chat. We have all come together. We have bonded in a certain way in order to find our soul families. Okay, we are connecting with each other in a spiritual way. All right. And the more you think about that, the more I think about Jillian, the more I think about Darren, the more I think about Barbara, the more I think about Jerry, the more I think about Kirky, the more I think about Delise. All right. When I think about these people and I see them in my mind, I can actually connect with them and help them raise their vibration, even though I'm 6,000 miles away. All right. You can do that.
You're not
It is
6,000 miles away, Billy.
I know we're not 6,000 miles away, but still, I mean, I'm talking about Delise, who's over in Israel right now, you know, and that's 6,000 miles away from me.
Well, even
All
I'm
right.
probably about that distance as well.
Exactly. And Peter's over in Germany. But I've had Brenda and Dale
Don't
work
forget
with
Australia.
me in
Oh yeah, in Australia,
Stella,
of course,
Stella
yeah.
in Australia, of course. You know, but we're all coming together in order to beautify this world, in coming together in our collective consciousness. All right. Now that's a play on words, whereas Simon Park's thing is connecting consciousness, but it's the same thing. All right. What we're doing is we're finding out who we are and what we're here to do. Now, I have a poll to ask. All right. How many people think that they never belong here on Earth? Never fit in? All right. I'm asking that question. You've never, ever actually felt like you belong here. Okay. Have you ever had the thought in your head of going over and over and over again, I want to go home? Okay.
You're talking about the higher consciousness from, from heaven, that because we were sent here on Earth for a reason, in order to increase our abilities.
Here is the thing. I don't think we were actually sent here. I think we individually requested to come here to fulfill a purpose.
That's right. Yeah. The Earth is like a teaching planet. That's the way this Gerd's book is full of this stuff. That this is a teaching planet, and we come here in order to move our soul on, learn more, and this planet is like one of the hardest planets to be on. Gerd says, you talk about heaven and hell. Hell is actually this planet,
right?
And so when we fulfill our job, whatever it is, and we don't even remember what we were sent to Earth for, but we're here to survive this planet and learn and grow through the experience here on Earth. But our real home is the other side.
We've all come together for one reason, okay, and that is to fulfill a destiny that we were instilled with, to bring humanity into this higher consciousness. That's why we are here together. That's what has brought us together. All right. So let's explore that. Let's figure out, and through our own collective consciousnesses, help each other figure out why we are here. What is our purpose? Because everybody always asks that question, what is my purpose here on Earth? All right. Well, when you don't believe you're from Earth to begin with, because you never fit in, why are we here?
Well, we're here not to fit in. We're here to learn, and that is part of the job. Now, what I'm going to do on the forum is I'm going to start a connecting consciousness section, because a lot of people we found in our group are actually also members of Connecting Consciousness.
Mhm.
And I think setting up a place where they can communicate, maybe find out who else is in Connecting Consciousness in their area, I think that can be an advantage. And also, Gerd said that I should set up a section for channelings, because he has a lot of channelings, is what he researched, so we will probably do that as well. If people have suggestions about how we can have extra sections for important topics, then just send me a message through the contact form, and I'll look into what makes sense. Because I think we need to start concentrating the communications. So instead of being on Signal and Telegram and everywhere, we should try and get people onto the forum where we have the most control and the most capabilities to control and advance our knowledge.
Right.
Because the thing, if you write something on Telegram, it's something for the day. Who looks back what was posted 10 days ago?
3 or 4 days ago. You can't do it, really.
That's right. Whereas the forum is so structured that you can easily find topics what you're interested in. So I think we should start moving the discussions over to the forum more and more. I've already said that on the Signal group. I'm going to say that on the Telegram group again. And we'll try and build up the forum. I'm going to try and move my principal section for answering questions to the forum. I know I've done a lot on Telegram, but I'm going to try and encourage people to move to the forum from there as well. Which reminds me of another question which I want to put to the group here. And this is more sort of an insider issue. As you know, when these programs are finished, I have the job of editing the videos and getting them out there. And so there's the editing, there's the rendering, there's the subtitling, and the indexing. And all those things go into a finished video, which then people think. Now, the indexing was being done by Billy. And Billy has asked, for health reasons, if we can find someone else to volunteer to do that job. Indexing just means going through the recording, it's normally 2.5 hours, and just making notes what is said, what the important issues are, basically kind of like bullet points, and giving the time when that discussion started. If you look at any episode up to, I think, episode 13, you will find such indexes. And I'm looking for volunteers to take on that job of just creating this index. We do 2 shows a week, so that will be twice a week, and we got a little bit of a backlog. I think episodes 14 to now are still waiting to be indexed. So do we have any takers? You don't have to tell me now. You can also send me a message via the forum or the contact us section, but it would be great if we could get someone to volunteer to do that job for us.
Right. But thank you, Peter. Appreciate that. Darren, we got time for a couple more here. Darren, go ahead.
Hey guys, you got me there?
Yeah,
that's sure right. Do. Yeah, we're waiting for the Star Trek question.
Okay. Hey, real quick on everybody that has been vaccinated, and honestly that has not been vaccinated. I actually listened to Dr. Merritt out of Omaha. She's got a really good podcast, and she has specialists from all over the world, virologists, scientists, and one of the things they recommend is apoplectin and pine needle tea. Mm-hmm. But it's not only just for the vaccinated, and here's why I say that, is because not only were they infecting people with the vaccines, but they were also infecting all the masks, especially early on when the pandemic or plandemic first broke out. They were actually putting all kinds of nasty stuff and graphene oxide in the mask. So even though, and matter of fact, I actually went in and I actually looked at one of my masks and it was actually infected. So anyway, long story short, apoplectin and pine needle tea is a suggestion. Here's my question real quick for you guys. I have a black hat question, and then I have a Star Trek suggestion.
That's what we look forward to, yeah.
Okay, all right. Go ahead.
Okay, my black hat question today is, we know we got the black hats and the white hats. Who do you think at the very top, who's the very top person kind of in charge of the black hats, in your opinion? If there's one person.
If it would be one person, I would have to say Klaus Schwab, but we know he's been taken out at this point.
A lot of people would say Satan is at the top.
Well, yeah.
Klaus Schwab is certainly a thing. Soros is also in there. There are a lot of people in there. It's hard to determine who's right at the very top. There's probably somebody we've never heard of who's at the top pulling the strings. We just know some of the actors like Bill Gates, Schwab.
George Soros,
Certainly the
yeah,
World Economic
yeah.
Forum is seems to be the center where they organize things.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys by chance listen to Elaine Danon's podcast
Yes.
at all?
Yes, I do.
I listened to hers. I think she had one on the 16th. Very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You can watch hers on YouTube. But what she was saying real quick on that is that basically the White Hats, the Galactic Federation made an offer to all the Black Hats to be transported to a different planet if they wanted. And I guess they rejected that. So
Yes,
they basically said, we're going to pretty much take out as many people as we can take out on our way down. So that's anyway.
I thought some of them had taken up that offer.
Well, there were some that did. But there were a bunch of minions that did not.
Mm-hmm. So if you guys get a chance, yeah, her interview from what was it 2 days ago is very, very worthwhile listening to. Okay, so anyway, here is my Star Trek suggestion this week. Okay, I would think with you guys and with all your audience, and we're all pretty much big Star Trek fans, it would be interesting to find out through a poll if people could make suggestions on what the next Star Trek series should be called. And I know, Peter, I know that you have a lot of, it sounds like you have a lot of contacts within the Star Trek world. Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be cool if your show came up with basically the next Star Trek series title?
Well,
so, just a thought.
Well, I would say we've already done it. It's called Star Trek New Voyages. And we were just the continuing of the original series. And we've not only come up with the title, we've created, I think, 11 episodes and 5 short episodes.
Oh, have you?
Yes,
okay.
And they're very well worth looking at. Star Trek New Voyages.de or stnv.de is the short version.
Oh, okay.
And then you'll find the episodes. There's some excellent episodes with original characters. We have the original actor who played Sulu, the original actor who played Chekhov, who played an episode, and some very, very powerful stories.
Interesting. So can you put that in the chat? That actual web link in the chat? Because like I said, I don't have nothing to write down with right now. But yeah. So okay. Well, anyway, I just thought, and I'm not talking right now. I'm talking like future episodes, like, in a year or 2 years from now. But it would be kind of interesting if your audience would be interested in coming up with some different names.
Well, let me think. What I think they could do a series about some strange planet where there's some awful people who are trying to kill off the populations by injecting them with some strange jabs, and they have to find a way of neutralizing this and recovering the people, and they're not going to call themselves the Federation. They're going to call themselves the Galactic Federation, and they're going to try and help humanity by raising people's awareness and things like that, and providing new technologies which are not breaching the Prime Directive, and helping this species of people who have been misled into taking these awful things, into recovering and getting their planet to be humanitarian and prosperous. I think that would make a great series.
All right, so
you just stole my name.
All right, so here's one for you, and I want you to think about the connotation behind the name. Okay. Just call it Star Trek Continuum.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Think of the multiple things that could go into Continuum. Okay.
Well, I have objections to that name because we had a rival series called Star Trek Continues, and there's some pretty nasty characters in that thing. So I would.
All right. Well, that I didn't know that, but anyway.
Yeah,
thank you,
didn't know
Darren.
that. Okay.
All right.
Here's my quick suggestion. Mine was Star Trek Galactic Federations.
Yeah, that could work.
That could work. That could
Yeah.
work.
Well, I think my story idea is not that bad, is it?
No.
Oh no, it's great. It's great. Okay.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Darren. All right, Joseph.
That's right, and I think we should wrap up then.
Yep. Well, we got, go ahead, Joseph.
Hello, guys. How are you doing?
Good.
We're fine.
Good. Listen, you're doing a great job there. It's a very, very diverse program, and it's really interesting. I have a quandary. It's in relation to the RV. Myself and my wife have booked to go to Bulgaria for 3 weeks on Monday.
Right.
Is it possible if the redemption comes up in the middle of that, do we have to come back to our country of residence? We're here in Ireland. Or can we do that in Bulgaria?
I should think if you have the currency with you, you could probably do it in Bulgaria because there's only going to be a 10-day window to apply to basically register your ZIMs. So you're going to want to be able to go to a redemption center within that 10-day window.
Yeah.
Right. Well, here is the thing that I would suggest. All right. If you can take the currency with you, do. All right. Unless it's just too bulky. All right. All right.
Yeah,
but I would also, when you find out that you need to make your appointment, ask them and tell them you are traveling. Okay. And ask them, would it be better to make my appointment where I'm at right now physically, or go back home before making the appointment, and then set up the appointment based on their suggestion.
That's right. Yeah, you can, when you make the call, you can say, can I have the appointment at after a certain date when you're back home? You can also try that.
Right.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine. Thanks for that.
That answers your question. Where are you based? You sound like Irish or something.
We're based in Donegal in Ireland.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I could hear the Irish accent in there.
Well, yeah, for sure. All right,
Yeah.
but thank you, Joseph. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much. Cheers.
You're
bye.
very welcome.
And we got one more. Jerry, go ahead. Jerry Williams.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
sure, Jerry.
we
Go
can.
ahead.
Wow, this is my first call. I can never figure this out.
Well, you're here now, so you've worked it out.
All right. Well, first of all, Billy, someday, not tonight, I would like to hear the story about how you lost your foot. And for Peter, I live in Germany,
Right.
in southern Germany, and the chemtrails out here are off the charts. There's like hundreds of them. And I've heard that they're good ones, but I'm not sure. What is your thoughts?
Well, I have heard that they're now emitting not ivermectin, the other one.
Hydroxychloroquine.
In order to cure. Also, those we had these recent sandstorms where a lot of sand was kicked up into the atmosphere. That was to clean the junk out of the atmosphere. That was the point of that. My car was covered in red dust and stuff. But that was the reason to get all the junk which the deep state had been putting into the atmosphere out of it. And in my area in Cologne, I haven't been seeing many chemtrails recently. They seem to have been virtually gone. It's been having much more blue skies than we used to have. And that's a good thing. But so you're in southern Germany. Are you near a big city?
The closest big city, I'm between Augsburg and Ulm.
And Ulm, okay. Okay, yeah, I don't know. I think, are there any American military bases in that area?
There used to be bases here in Günzburg. That's how I ended up here. I married a German lady. I've been here for like 13 years.
Right.
I can barely speak a word of German, and I'm worried about going into the RV centers.
I don't think you're going to have a problem.
No, I'm pretty sure they're going to speak English in the RV centres. In fact, when you make an appointment, you can make a point of saying you need someone who speaks English.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right. I speak both, and I'll probably prepare my documents in both languages, just in case. But I'm pretty sure English will be fine.
So, in closing, on Sunday, there was this air show with 5 planes over Hamburg, and they wrote out this amazing message in the skies.
That's right, yes.
The final countdown.
Yes.
Yep. Uh-huh.
You guys saw that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we posted it.
Yeah, we sure
posted
did.
it. I must have missed that. I was like, I had chills when I saw that.
Yes, it looked fun. In fact, there's something similar happened in California as well. I saw pictures from another source from California that also a similar message went out, or in the same method.
Well, great. I love you guys' show. Billy, I hope it's not too personal, but I'm a motorhead and a mountain biker. I don't know if that's what happened to you, but
no, something else happened to me. It was a stupid thing that happened that was misdiagnosed by doctors, and the infection spread, and it was, first of all, just an amputation of the pinky toe on the left foot, and then a stupid diagnosis happened, and the infection spread. And it went from the 5th metacarpal to the 4th and then 3rd metacarpal, which is over halfway across the foot. And at that point, they were like, "We can't save the foot." Okay. So it was just an infection that went, and the doctors misdiagnosed it, and it was just too much. Yeah. But yeah, believe me, I've had my share of incidents in one major motorcycle accident, and I did earn my broken wings. Yes, I did. Okay,
right on, fellas. It's been a great show. I really appreciate all you guys, what you're doing.
Guys, tell others about our show. We need to expand it, and I think more people need to know what we're talking about. So please tell your friends to come and join the fun.
Right. And if you have suggestions for the stuff that you want us to talk about or whatnot, go ahead and post it in the forum. We'd love to hear from you and get that.
That's right.
All right. But anyway, any final thoughts there, Peter?
Yeah, I think things are moving on, and I think we're getting really close to the RV. But the RV is not the end. The RV is the beginning. Because when we get the funds, that's when we can have to start doing the humanitarian projects. That'll be a job which will last the rest of our lives, and our lives could be very long.
Remember this: take care of yourselves first, all right, before trying to help others.
That's right. You have to make sure you survive, and so because otherwise you can't help other people if you can't survive yourself.
Exactly. So once you find out what you got and whatnot, take some time, get right. And just methodically, just go through everything with your projects, and but take time. Don't rush it. Do things right. Okay. Remember the old adage in the Marines: fast is slow, slow is fast. Okay.
And I learned more haste is less speed.
Exactly. Same thing.
It's the same thing. Yeah.
Same thing. All right. But anyway, thank you all for showing up today. We appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you on Sunday. But bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.
That's right.
Bye.
And look out on Saturday. Possibly I'll get the show, the Birmingham show.
Bye, you guys. You're the best.
All right.
You're the best.
I'll appreciate it. Robbie, good to see you. Stella, good to see you there. All right. And Derek, good to see you.
Bye, Billy. Have
all right, Tamara.
Until next time.
Thank you to Ron for all his assistance as well.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.